probably seen my fair share as a Notre Dame fan. I had certainly seen too many of those. But then Maddie went out to dinner with her mom and her sister, and I was like, you know what? I got nothing else better to do. So I dialed up the game again and watched it.
Wait, you watched it twice?
Watched the starters.
Twice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's impressive. I had it on in the background during dinner for a bit. I got a couple questions for you. The first being, because you're at practice all the time, so you would have an idea how in-depth they went in terms of designing things that replicate or signify in any way, shape, or form what they are going to do in the season. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, did Matt Ryan even get into the nuance of the quarterback of the Colts?
No, I think it was pretty vanilla from a schematic standpoint. And I mean, that goes for all 32 teams. I mean, it's not like the Buffalo Bills were out there, drawing up plays that they've thought about all offseason long to get them over the hump in the playoffs either. So I think everyone across the league is at a very level playing field from a how much you game plan. A couple things that stood out to me, Jake. One, Frank Reich is a man of his word. He said that he would play starters. Jake, he played 20 of 22 starters. That is a extraordinarily high number for any team in the NFL in week 1 of the preseason. The Bills played 0. Colts played 20. Bills played 0. He clearly wasn't too pleased with the offense because he left them into the second quarter as well, which originally the thought was play them a quarter or less. I thought the wide receiver and the passing offense in general continued to show a trend that we've seen now. You could make the argument certainly dating back to last season. And then defensively, I thought after a shaky start, that group really settled in nicely and took the ball away at a really high level, which I think is to be expected when, again, it's your starting defense against their second-team offense. Another thing that I was disappointed by offensively, I just thought the offensive linemen that have Pro Bowls on their resume, kind of shaky. Braden Smith, big false start penalty. Ryan Kelly, a holding penalty. Matt Pryor, who doesn't fall into that group, but he gave up a sack and a holding penalty. I would like to have seen that O-line kind of assert themselves a little bit. But, Jake, it's probably like a rejoiner we should have all throughout this morning. It is the preseason. So take of it what you want to take out of it. What I look for is trends. And I think some of the trends that have been good and bad throughout Grand Park, I feel like I saw those trends continue positively and negatively on Saturday.
I think one of the things we've talked about is that when you have a new quarterback and you're trying to get in rhythm, or for that matter, if you have a new quarterback and you're not trying to show a lot, you become reliant on tight ends and just kind of using them like as a dump off is the wrong way to say it, but just kind of simplifying things, so to speak, Kevin. And from what I saw, the tight end, I don't know in the tight end room that anybody jumps out at you and you say, okay, that clearly is the guy, but it looks like they've got some guys that can play there. But the kid out of Iowa State that everybody's kind of talked about has had a good camp, continued to do it, right? And the fact that Mo Alley Cox, is Mo Alley Cox your tight end right now? That's your starter, right?
Oh, without question, yeah.
Yeah,
obviously,
so then
number one.
So then after that, it seems as though you have a couple of guys that are jockeying to get some significant reps, right?
I thought the tight ends played pretty well. I thought Jelani Woods had a much-needed good day for him. 2 really nice contested catches, 2 different types of catches. I thought that was big for him. I thought Kylan Granson showed a little bit. He's strung together, I feel like, a nice week plus. Drew Ogletree a little bit more up and down. Jacobson, the Iowa State kid, he did have a touchdown. He also had a pretty big drop there over the middle of the field.
I mean, Jacobson's been talked about a little bit, though. Not necessarily because he has separated himself, but I think because a lot of people probably thought he was just a roster, a camp filler, and it's like, I think he's shown. Is he going to make the roster? I don't know, but I don't know that there's as big a drop-off from him as the others as you would expect. Does that make sense?
I thought, yeah, maybe practice squad for him. I don't think he's pushing it all for a 53-man roster spot. I thought the rookie class had a pretty good day. I thought Nick Cross individually Really nice with the starters. He made a couple plays in coverage, a couple plays against the run. Alec Pierce, I mean, you would love to have seen him win that early third down rep. I thought it probably should have been illegal. Hands to the face on that Bills corner. But he made a couple plays with Nick Foles in that second-team offense. Bernhard Raimann, no Colt played more snaps than Raimann. When the starters came out, Raimann then played every single snap the rest of the game at left tackle. And I thought for the most part, he held his own. But I thought the starting offense was really blah, Jake. Really blah. And I get it. You're not.
I think a lot of people felt that way.
You're not scheming a whole lot up, but if you're not scheming a whole lot up, don't you want your ones to beat their twos in one-on-one matchups? I just think there is a lack of separation that you are so reliant on Frank Reich and Matt Ryan to scheme up and mentally be the superior matchup week in and week out, because I just don't think you have the individual talent at wideout to win those matchups. Paris Campbell had a huge drop on third down. Pittman got beat on a fourth down. Again, Pierce got beat as well. That continues to worry me. And I think you're getting to a point now, Jake, where it's August 15th. You're not going to play your starters this Saturday against the Lions. Yes, you're going to get some joint practices.
Yeah, the sand's quickly going through the hourglass of preseason.
You got one
right?
preseason game left to play your starters. So are you really going to wait until that final preseason game, which is
then you have
Saturday with the Bucks?
You open with 2 preseason games, right?
Jeez.
Mark,
when is at Jacksonville a preseason game?
I wouldn't chalk either of those up to preseason games.
Now, Mark, you've been up for 5.5 hours so far this morning?
Yeah. Vomiting kids. That's a fun way to start a Monday.
Mark.
Wife wasn't too far behind, so that's...
Wait, the wife's sick too?
Yeah. 3 out of 5 of us were throwing up all weekend. I was not one of them. The youngest was not one of them. We're staying strong.
So are you and the youngest? You got the new big palatial estate now. Are you guys staying in a different wing?
No, we no fevers for anybody. I don't know what's going on. Some stomach bug or something. But yeah, not ideal.
Mark, that sucks.
That's not fun.
Now, Jake, I don't believe in them, so I'm not too worried about it. But I know some people will freak out that you just potentially cursed the Colts week 1 and week 2. Did you do that yesterday with a perfect game?
How about that, man? So I'm at my gym, and I had not yet gone. I was like sitting there in the little cafe of my gym, and I'm cruising like social media, and I see somewhere, maybe I'd gone to ESPN.com, and it said that the pitcher for the Rays was perfect. Drew Rasmussen, I think is his name. Perfect through 8. And I'm like, whoa. Like, it's one thing to say like a guy's got a perfect game through 6, but I'm like, perfect through 8? Like, he's 3 outs away. So I go on MLB.com, and it was pretty cool. I mean, you go to MLB.com, I'll give Major League Baseball credit. As soon as you did, like right there, you couldn't miss it. It was like, watch live. And they were,
so no like free trial or anything?
Nothing. I mean, it was just boom, awesome. Right here. So I clicked on it, and there's the game. And it was in the bottom, or no, they were in the, they were in the bottom of the 8th when I turned it on. So the Rays were batting. And of course, I'm thinking to myself, like, look, if you're in the stands, you're like, just, even though I'm a Rays fan and I'm here to watch the Rays.
Strikeout.
Yeah, just get these 3 guys out. I want to see the pitcher come back out, So I copy and pasted the link and tweeted it and just said, like, hey, this guy in Tampa is perfect through 8, and you can watch live right here, because I thought it was pretty cool. And what stunned me, Kevin, was on the broadcast, I don't know who the Rays play-by-play guy is, but he sounds like very professional, like old-school baseball broadcaster.
So was this the Trisha Whitaker broadcast?
I think it was. I didn't see Trisha, but it was the broadcast she works on. It was the Rays, Bally Sports Florida, or whatever broadcast. And they were like talking about it nonstop. Now let's show you the other perfect games in baseball history. We haven't seen one. This is history in the making here. And they kept showing him in the clubhouse or in the dugout. And like everybody's like coming over talking to him, and they're like, boy, he's cool as a cucumber, isn't he? I'm like, well, actually, he's like doing everything to keep himself busy. You could tell, like he was reorganizing the helmets, and
I'm gonna fill that Gatorade jug over there.
Right.
If you guys don't mind.
So anyway, literally, probably 2 minutes after I sent the tweet with the link, the first batter comes up for the Orioles in the top of the 9th, and I'm sure people at this point are flipping over to it because it's a perfect game. I think there's fewer than 30 in baseball history. First pitch, this dude just smokes it down the left field line for a double. I'm like, well, there goes the perfect game and the no-hitter. The other thing that was a little surprising to me was in the I actually did. I did see the last out of the 8th, and it was a routine fly to center, but the center fielder did the whole, like, just kind of stood and, like, very casually, a la kind of like Dave Parker just stood, and then at the last second kind of snatched the ball with the one glove.
You can't be doing that.
And I'm like, dude, it's a perfect game here, man. Yeah. Like, if you bobble that bad boy and it's an error.
Right. You're not trying to impress, the girl on Tinder you just swiped with.
Correct.
Come on now. Yeah.
Correct. But anyway, I do love, Major League Baseball has obviously changed a lot over the years, in the fact that I don't know that it has that people are like as locked into it at all times as like I was as a kid, for example. But I love no-hitters and I love complete games. You know
my thoughts, Jake. If you've got it, you can't come out of the game. If you've got the no-hitter, the perfect game, you're staying in there.
Kershaw was perfect when they took him out, right? This year?
I think so, because has he not had a perfect game? Is that what it is?
Well, there have only been...
We haven't had one since Felix Hernandez, right? Now that I think about it.
I think that's right. It's probably in the pop quiz, right?
Yeah, it's been quite some time, I think, since we've had one.
I mean, there are people that
you got to stay in the game, and you can throw it left-handed for all I care. Or in Kershaw's case, you can throw it right-handed.
150 years of Major League Baseball, there have been 23 perfect games. 23. This dude going into the 9th inning had only thrown 79 pitches. And I was thinking to myself, holy cow, if he gets all 3 guys to pop up he had thrown 78 pitches going into the 9th.
Man, that's a great pitch count.
So I'm like, if he gets all 3 guys to pop up on the first pitch and they pop out, then he will have thrown a perfect game on 81 pitches, which basically means 9 pitches per inning. 3, you know what I mean?
Great math to start a Monday there.
Thanks. Well, I start algebra coming up a week from today. I'm not thrilled about it.
Well, I mean that's doable. Algebra's perfect for you, right?
28%, the highest I've ever gotten in an algebra class in my life. 28%.
Wait a minute, I thought you were the guy that can multiply 2 numbers off the top of your head.
Totally.
And you just throw a variable in there and you're good.
But you start throwing in X's and Y's and Pythagorean theorems and
yeah. I'm no math expert. I've never gotten a 28%, but yeah, math is ridiculous.
We'll dial up Sam.
Well, aren't you just little smarty pants?
No, I'm not. I'm saying when they same thing when they start throwing out. What does X equal? I don't know. It's a letter. What do you mean?
Once the stomach bug hits you and you take another 3-day work week, we'll talk all about it, Mark.
Kind of waiting for Mark to make a beeline.
Labor Day's not too far away.
Remember that one time we were doing the show? Mark just got up and left.
Several times. I felt bad for him.
Oh, man. I was worried about... I'm not kidding you. I had a nightmare that happened again. So
it's been years since I've recycled.
Knocking on
wood. You were
like
3 in one day. I'm like, wow.
It was like 6.
You know who I think secured his job on Saturday night for the Colts?
Dallas Flowers.
Beautiful one-handed catch on that interception.
It does make you... It is funny, Kevin, that...
Dallas spelled I-S on the end.
When he... That was a 2-point conversion play that he interrupted, right? But it was a nice play.
Great play.
It's funny how a play like that jumps out at you, and then you realize, you know what? It's not like I'm paying attention to his placement or footwork the rest of the game. He may be terrible. I have no idea, but that play was impressive.
Yeah, very, very. I don't know if anyone on the Colts had a better night than Rodrigo Blankenship.
Yeah, not only because he hit kicks, but his opponent did not, right? Not opponent, sorry, his teammate
Jake
who is...
Verity misses an extra point from, 33 yards? Is that the extra point nowadays?
Jake Verity on the extra point was like me with algebra.
Just a little... Yeah, just a little right. I don't know if he was 28% bad, Jake. He might have been like 48% bad on that kick.
How about that Punt God punt, by the way? My God.
82 yards. Those are my other takeaways from the game. The Bills have the Punt God kicker who can kick it 82 yards. And do you think Jim Irsay pays for all the Jim Irsay collection commercials?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I swear I saw 5 in the first 3 breaks of the game.
Here's the thing. I would, to be fair or to be honest, I would bet that the Colts... Then this you asked for more than you were bargaining for here. I would bet that the Colts broadcast, the television broadcast, that the Colts themselves sell the time with a certain number of spots allotted for the broadcast partner. I'm talking about preseason, not regular season. So those preseason broadcasts, like it was on I always forget. Was it on
Fox.
Yeah, on Fox 59. Mm-hmm. So it's a local window. So Fox 59 probably of the, let's just say for the sake of argument, if there are 150 ads that can run during that broadcast, of those 150, like 110 of them are sold by Fox 59 for Fox 59, and 40 of them are allotted back for the Colts to put in either their partner, their broadcast sponsors, or the Colts themselves, and the Colts take that money. So that would be probably where the Irsay collection commercials run.
I'm going to nitpick a little bit here on Hot Rod and the kicking thing. But, Jake, there were two moments in the first half. So, basically how Frank Reich operated on Saturday was Rodrigo Blankenship will kick in the first half, Jake Verity will kick in the second half. The Colts had two moments on Saturday where they faced a fourth down, and I believe both times the field goal attempt would have been 56 yards. And yet, both times Frank Reich elected to go for it. I'm thinking to myself, isn't the biggest question about Rodrigo Blankenship
his distance?
His distance?
Yeah.
And the biggest question is, can he do it in games? We all watch the YouTube videos that everyone has in the summer for kickers. Oh, this guy's kicking out his high school stadium, and he just made one from 72 yards. Let's get a game rep in a stadium that is outdoors, a stadium that he has missed a massive kick in before a few years ago in the playoffs. I'm thinking to myself, what a great mental and physical moment for Rodrigo Blankenship to either excel in and try and kind of clear this obvious hurdle that is with him, or if he fails in that moment, then it's something you keep an eye on the rest of the preseason. Yeah, both times the Colts went for it. I'm like, do I need to see the second team offense go for it on fourth down here? I don't. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too into the kicker weeds here, but
no, I thought the same thing too.
I'm like, what's going on here? This is like the most obvious scenario you could have. It's the perfect scenario you could have for Hot Rod. You had it twice.
Do you think sometimes Frank Reich overthinks things?
I'm like, we don't need to coach the preseason game like it's
right.
And even if Blankenship missed, it's not like these games count for anything.
No.
So it's a free kick basically.
Yeah, I don't. It was a great night for Hot Rod. It was a great night because I don't know if he was hiding behind the kicking net when they got to that distance. He was like, "Don't put me out there." I don't know. Maybe if he did.
Jake Verity's game, much represented by Mark Dykton's middle daughter's sleep last night, right?
Yeah. Puked all over himself.
Does Jake Verity get the scissors on Tuesday? They cut 5 guys on Tuesday. By Tuesday.
5 guys sounds good, doesn't it?
So many fries. Every time I think, they probably won't give me enough fries. They give me more than I think.
Right.
There's no reason to ever get anything bigger than a small for fries.
No question, because they give you the whole bag, right?
Yeah.
Did you do anything else fun over the weekend, Kevin, besides the game?
We saw Top Gun on Friday night. First time, I think the first time Maddie and I have ever gone to a movie together.
Really?
Before kids, too?
Yeah, obviously you had. Well, I guess we had
how
Rosie
was
2 months into COVID.
How was the theater and the attendance in the theater? Because I've said Top Gun is the movie that
it
years
was
from now people will be like
90% full. We went
Good.
Friday night at 7:30. That Bottle Works movie theater.
Yeah,
really nice.
Oh yeah,
super nice. I thought it was great. I know that pretty much everyone. I feel like I'm the only one that hasn't seen Top Gun yet. I thought it was outstanding. Good.
That's cool.
You?
I have to think about that.
I'll ask Mark what he did, but
we were gonna go to Kentucky Kingdom over the weekend, and that went down.
You could have puked coming off those rides too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true. So yeah, we didn't do anything.
Got a massage Saturday.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what Friday.
Woo! Mark.
It was not a Deshaun Watson massage.
Easy.
Friday night, went to dinner for certain. Went out for a beer.
Nice. Oh yeah,
that's cool.
317 burger.
That's right. Thank you. Wow, good memory. Because I had posted about that. Went to 317.
I saw his tweet.
Went to 317 Burger in Broderpool, which I absolutely love. That place is so cool.
There.
Man, that place is so cool. Like the bar itself, it used to be the Blue Point back when I was in my 20s, but
3 Wiseman at one point.
None the wiser.
None the wiser.
None the wiser. But the guy that was working, the bartender, was also kind of waiting the tables around everything, and the dude was just on it, man. Never stopped moving, but the order was perfect. Food was perfect. Beer was cold. I absolutely love 317 Burger in Broaderpool is an awesome, awesome place.
I would agree. A pretty good Saturday for Sam Ehlinger as well. There were some Colts in the second half we can get to. I thought Cameron Klein had a few good rushes. He's a name that we've mentioned before here at Grand Park. Again, nothing today for the Colts at practice. Back on the practice field tomorrow by themselves. Just the Colts out there on Tuesday. That's a noon start time. And it is noon on Wednesday, noon on Thursday with the Fighting Dan Campbells entering Hamilton County. That will be the joint practices for the Colts, and then their preseason home opener Saturday. I think it's a 1. Is it a 1 o'clock or 1:30? 1 o'clock, yeah. 7:30, I think, with the Bucks the following week.
Correct, yeah.
All right, it's a little overcast Monday here in Indianapolis. Joe Reitz going to join us in less than 10 minutes.
One's faking the handoff.
This time last year, the world watched the Colts on Hard Knocks. That
Disaster for Indianapolis.
didn't go so well.
Unbelievable.
Guess what? They're back. Only this time they're following the Lions straight into joint practice with the Colts.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
And then the game at Lucas Oil Stadium. Colts, Lions, Saturday at 1.
Matt looked pretty sharp.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You need a lawn care pro and a pest control pro. You can have both in one guy. You. DoMyOwn.com will help you get there with pro products, pro knowledge, and pro support. DoMyOwn.com for the pro in you.
Stay summer travel road ready at your Central Indiana CarX locations. AC inspection $19.99, lifetime brake pads $109.99 per axle. It's CarX online for the location nearest you, CarX.com.
Is your retirement withdrawal strategy built for a looming recession? Do you know which accounts you should draw from first? What are common pitfalls? How can you minimize your tax bite? Join Edelman Financial Engines tomorrow at 2 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern for our timely virtual event, Recession and Your Retirement Withdrawal Strategy. You can register for free at planefe.com. We'll look at financial pitfalls to avoid and how to help make sure your financial plan is built to last. Whether it's sequence of withdrawals, when to start taking Social Security, or staying diversified, we'll help you understand the steps you can take to make sure your financial plan can work for you. Don't miss this important virtual event. Join us for Recession and Your Retirement Withdrawal Strategy tomorrow at 2 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern. There's no cost to attend and no obligation. Register now at planefe.com. That's planefe.com. Edelman Financial Engines. From here forward.
2022 is the year for that diamond upgrade. Time to go from a 1 carat to a 2 carat, or a 2 carat up to a 4 or 5 carat. It's true, going bigger is in, but that doesn't mean you have to overpay or compromise on quality. Diamonds Direct is your best destination for large, unique, and rare diamonds. These are exquisite, hand-picked precious diamonds from 2 carats to 20 carats, in all shapes, independently graded by the GIA. These diamonds have all been chosen for maximum brilliance. Best part, Diamonds Direct's stunning large diamonds are sourced from the best ethical diamond cutters around the globe, purchased exclusively for our showroom, and free from any broker or middleman upcharges. This means you can go bigger with the confidence that you're getting the highest quality at the best possible price nationwide. You see, at Diamonds Direct, we're more than just another jewelry store. We're the nation's true diamond experts with unrivaled selection, uncompromising standards, and unbeatable value. Let us prove it today with your diamond upgrade. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. DiamondsDirect.com.
Indianapolis, at Geico, our employees' careers matter to us.
Well, finding the right career matters to me.
Look no further, Becca. Geico offers training support because your growth matters. Your hopes and dreams matter. Even the way you sing to your plants because you believe it helps them grow matters.
You said it. Growth matters. Grow, grow, grow your leaves.
When it comes to your career, what matters to you matters to Geico. We're now hiring claims and customer service agents. Apply today at careers.geico.com/Indianapolis and let's get growing.
Dear driver, thank you. Thank you for slowing down when you saw the orange cones and road construction signs. My husband is one of those road workers. And today, you saved his life. If you hadn't slowed down, you would have missed that lane change, driven right into the work zone, and you would have killed him. Because you were driving differently. He'll be at our son's Little League game this weekend. He'll be there to walk our daughter down the aisle. He'll be out there tomorrow, making Indiana's roads safer. Thank you.
When driving in a construction zone, be smart, be alert. be in the zone.
This is Kelly Watson, business manager of Labor's Local 1112. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Baseball is here, and so is the BetRivers.com sportsbook app, featuring same-game parlays where you can combine the excitement of different bets, all from the same game. Bet the total, spreads, player props, and more. Plus, with award-winning customer service, BetRivers.com sportsbook app, here comes a baseball joke, is a home run. Download the BetRivers.com sportsbook app today. It's a whole new game.
Must be 21. Must be located in Indiana. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
The Morning Checkdown. Omaha! Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Relieving your joint pain at QCkinetics.com. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, Kev, real quick, give me a number 1 through 36.
16.
Yesterday, NASCAR, by the way, in Richmond, it was Kevin Harvick that was the winner. 16th place, you get a lifetime supply of Hulk Performance Fishing. Huck, H-U-K, Huck Performance Fishing. Austin Dillon was 16th. Mark Dykton, give me a number.
11.
Number 11, William Byron, not to be confused with Uncle Billy Byron of my buddy Mike Byron. Liberty University. You get your kid that's puking gets
I'll go back
to Liberty.
to school too, sure.
Give me a number for myself.
8.
The 8th place finisher yesterday, I will get a lifetime supply of Smithfield. I think that's bacon, right? Eric Almirola.
Probably, yeah, I think so.
Delicious on a Monday morning. Major League Baseball, the Reds are horrible. They did win yesterday over the Cubs, 8-5, though.
Just figuring this out.
White Sox 5-3 over the Tigers. I think they might have swept them there. And Fernando Tatis Jr. is not going to play baseball for a while?
No, 80 games. He had ringworm.
Paying $340 million for that?
I'm so glad they traded for Juan Soto, I'm sure, right now.
Which one of you guys said we were going to adopt the Padres?
That was you.
No, it was not me.
Jake, what time does the parade start for the Indiana Fever season being over?
Ask Hagan.
Is Hagan a Fever diehard?
He was in there when they won the title. He was in the Fever parade, I think.
Was he?
I think, yeah.
Wow, 5-31 for the Fever. That is an 18-game losing streak to end the season. 95-83, they lose to the Mystics.
You are quite rich if you bet against the Fever all season long.
A buddy of mine said they were covering a good amount of those games there late.
Boy.
Joe Reitz joins us next to recap Colts preseason opener on Saturday.
The Red Sox and Orioles play in Williamsport on Sunday Night Baseball. The coverage begins at 6 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Alice in Chains and Breaking Benjamin. Live in concert this summer with Bush, plus special guests. This Wednesday at Ruoff Music Center. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Get up and get outside this summer with Alice in Chains and Breaking Benjamin.
The NFL Week 1 odds are out, and now's the time to try FanDuel Sportsbook if you haven't already. Get in on the action early this season. Hey, it's Mark from Kevin and Query. Right now, new customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you have to do is download the app, sign up with promo code MARK, and turn a $5 bet into $150 in free bets, win or lose. You want to get that NFL bankroll ready? Maybe you want to look at some futures bets like Jonathan Taylor to win the rushing title, Matt Ryan over-under in touchdown passes, or a Super Bowl favorite. Pick anything you like. The odds are already out there, and choose which one you want. A $5 bet will turn into $150 in free bets, guaranteed win or lose. There's no better place to get ready for the NFL football season than on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook and official sports betting partner of the NFL. Again, download the app and use promo code MARK to get $150 in free bets on a $5 bet. That's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C. Must be 21 and over in Indiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. Our average client received over $54,000 with a simple cash-out refinance. What would you do with an extra $54,000? Pay off the credit cards, make those home remodeling projects a reality, take the family on a much-needed vacation, or heck, just stick the money in the bank so you can stop living paycheck to paycheck. Let's find out how much you can get today at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
I had low back pain that was due to herniated discs.
Meet Dr. Justin Garzone, another satisfied patient who found regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics.
Over a very short period of time, the pain went away completely, and I've had absolutely no symptoms or pain since my treatment.
Before Dr. Garzone found QC Kinetics, he was looking at all the old school pain treatments.
It was recommended that I have steroid injections done, but then unfortunately my insurance company said that I would have to do 3 months of physical therapy first, and I needed to get better quickly.
With QC Kinetics, the doctor got lasting relief with no downtime.
I didn't have to take any medications during my treatment. I avoided surgery, and I am now pain-free.
Don't live with chronic pain, and don't go under the knife. Call QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160. In Eagle Creek and Greenwood, 463-235-7160.
Do you know a volunteer who deserves a year's worth of free vehicle maintenance? Tell us their story and nominate them. Click the Do More tab at JiffyLubeIndiana.com.
Break it down.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Here to break it down in terms of the Colts preseason opener, Joe Reitz. You heard him on the radio call along with Matt Taylor right here on this radio station. Joins us this morning on the Payless Liquors guest line to talk about what we saw. Joe, good Monday morning to you. I will begin with this. As you, who has a much more trained eye than most, watched this game, were there more areas that you would say you had questions that were answered, or were there more areas that you walked away from and still needed to see more?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm going to say that probably neutral. There were some areas, position groups that you wish would have maybe played a little bit better, but there also were some that exceeded my expectations. And from a 30,000-foot view, I think the biggest thing and the key, and this was my number one key on the pregame call, was get out of that game healthy. And you had 2 injuries, but you didn't have any, what I would say super, long-term season-ending major injuries to key guys. And if you had told me, hey, you're going to go out there and lose 50-0, but everybody's getting back on the plane healthy, that's a win in the preseason. And so I think that's what's good. And I said this, to close the call. This is the biggest week in the Colts preseason coming up because, one, you always get your most improvement from game 1 to game 2. Now you go out there, you see things on tape, all these young guys, new faces. You have actual live game action that you can break down on film. And then 2 days from now, the Lions are coming to camp for joint practice. And that's really, from a player's perspective, that's a game day on Wednesday. That's a game day on Thursday. And then whoever's playing in the game on Saturday, that's another game day. So this right here, when we look back at the Colts and hot start, not hot start, whatever they do, I think you can trace a lot of it back to this week coming up. I cannot underestimate how important a great week of practice and game coming up here this week.
Yeah, no starters hurt on Saturday. Isaiah Rodgers in concussion protocol, and wide receiver Kiki Kuti, who I probably would have on the 53-man roster right now. He injured his groin. Joe Reitz with us on the radio call with Matt Taylor and Jeffrey Gorman from Saturday, and he will be all preseason long. He's with us right now. Joe, I want to go back to that first point you made. You said pretty neutral, some good, some bad. Let's get into the position battles you liked, or the positions that you liked, or guys that you liked, and guys or positions that you did not think played very well on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I'll start defensively. One, I think we saw a little glimpse. Obviously, they were pretty vanilla. They only brought a couple pressures all game, but we saw a glimpse into what Gus Bradley's 4-3 cover 3 defense is going to look like. And the Colts are 4-3 just like last year, but the difference, fellas, is these defensive linemen, they're getting upfield. They're penetrating. Reminds me back when, Rob and Dwight were here, and they always used to say, we're going to stop the run on the way to the quarterback. And I kind of think that's the mentality. And you saw that from some of the starters, but really some of the young guys that flashed. Cameron Klein, who it seems like every day up at Grand Park makes a play. He gets a strip sack. Curtis Brooks, that young rook from Cincinnati, I thought, he had a nice pressure. He had a great super athletic retrace play where he came there and he got his hands on the quarterback. Nick Cross, come on. I am riding the hype train. I know he only played a couple series, but he was doing it in coverage, and he had an unbelievable play where he come up, and not only did he set the edge, but he also made the tackle on an outside run. So I think that aggressive, upfield attacking mentality, I am really looking forward to seeing that on the defensive side of the football. And then on offense, I thought that the offensive line, 3 penalties through 18 snaps, that's too much. That's a little bit sloppy, but they always call things tighter in the preseason. I thought some of the young linemen looked good. Raimann, a ton of snaps. He's going to get a ton better. Will Fries, I thought, had a nice game. And so I think when you go to the skill positions, I thought the tight ends really impressed me. Jelani Woods, touchdown catch, Ogletree making catches. But Jelani Woods impressed me actually with his blocking. He's a guy that, I think sometimes we don't think he's going to be the best blocker because he's got more of a receiver-type build than maybe your true inline Y like a Mo Alley. And then Granson had a couple nice plays. So when you talk about those 4 tight ends in that room, I thought as a position group collectively they had a really nice day. And then I think the receivers is something you would have liked to see a little bit more out of. Drop from Campbell. Pierce had, you could call it a drop, that early third down contested catch. The ball was right on the money from Ryan, and he kind of had it in his grasp and got pulled away by the cornerback at the end. But those are the catches you're going to have to make in third down. But it's for the first game action for some of those guys. And I think Ryan overall just impressed me. I mean, when you just look at him from his pregame command to in-game to making checks, he had a really nice play where he stepped up in the pocket, if you remember, eluded a couple defenders and completed that underneath route to Pittman, and then Pittman went on his way for 16 or 17. So overall, again, I think a neutral assessment in terms of how the game was. You're always going to expect some sloppy preseason, but I think offensively, tight ends, arrow up for sure on that group. I was really impressed with those 4 guys. It was interesting for me to see how that plays out and who's getting snaps and how that final roster shakes out.
It's interesting, Joe. Joe Reitz is our guest. An analogy that I keep hitting on is, and you played basketball, so I want your thought on this. I was telling Kevin last week, when you play horse as a kid, like my dad used to always tell me, if your shot's not dropping, go back to the free throw line and just relax for a second, shoot a couple of free throws to just kind of get yourself back into rhythm. And I've always felt like tight ends are a quarterback's free throw line. If you can't really get a rhythm or you're still trying to learn your receivers, tight ends are like kind of that safety net that allows you to just kind of get your feet back out underneath you. So therefore, even though Matt Ryan's a veteran, he's new to this team. Tight ends are probably more important right now for this offense than even in normal conditions. Is that me overthinking it, or is there some accuracy to that?
I'd say there's some merit to that. I do love your analogy, too. If your shot's not dropping, get to the free throw line, watch the ball go through the net, and then everything else seems to take care of itself. But I agree that they always say that it's that safety blanket. And, that big body, that frame that you can just go out a little, sit route right over the center, 5-6 yards, get a completion, positive, move the chains. And I think the Colts are going to do that in a lot of different ways, and I think they have a lot of options in terms of how that's going to shake out. And then the other thing is, Jonathan Taylor didn't play. Sounds like he's going to be the only guy that doesn't play the preseason, which I'm a fan of. But when you talk about Jonathan Taylor and then Nyheim Hines, and I think that Hines really is probably the guy that's gotten lost most. We talk so much about the receivers and who's going to step up. I'm one that get Hines the ball 15 times a game, and great things will happen. And I think the Colts have the ability. You're not going to see it all in the preseason, right, because they're not going to show their stuff. But some different packages when him and Taylor are on the field together, and now all of a sudden maybe you're splitting Hines out of the wide out and getting him the ball in quick screens, jet sweep. He's got good hands, but similar to how they used him in 2020 with Phillip Rivers, we had a lot more touches than last year. I think with a veteran quarterback, with Matt Ryan being able to read defenses really well, Hines is going to be a wild card that Colts fans are going to be happy with the production he has, and I would argue that he's our third best playmaker on offense right now behind Pittman and Taylor. So more Hines for me, fellas, week in and week out.
Joe Reitz is our guest on the Payless Liquors guest line. Joe, when we had Chris Ballard on, Jacobson, the tight end, was one that he mentioned. I'm not saying, Kevin was saying he's maybe a practice squad guy, but that at that time he was impressed by him out of the tight end room. Was there anybody in this game, and it's still early, I realize, but I want you to give me two two different categories, anybody that jumps out. Group one would be players that made an unexpected push and case for themselves that maybe weren't on your radar heading into the game that you're like, whoa, wait a minute, they might have something here. And then group two would be a player that the opportunity was right there before them and they just didn't seize it and improve their positioning.
That was a good question. I think one guy that jumped and he led the team in tackles with 6 net interception is Weatherford. He's an undrafted guy, and maybe I have a propensity for him because he's Hamilton County product from
Cicero, baby.
Cicero there. Yeah, but I think on the broadcast I gave a Hamilton Heights stand up right there. But, I mean, he had a nice game, and that's what you want from these young guys when the lights come on. Who's going to step up and play? And he's a guy that maybe hasn't got a ton of reps. Doman, who's putting together a really nice camp, the undrafted rookie out of Nebraska. I thought he flashed again, but Weatherford was a guy there. I think on the other side, Ben Banagoo, somebody that got some snaps that, he flashed a little bit and had a QB pressure there, but, the former second-round pick, you're kind of waiting. And then I think, on the other side, Dio, he wasn't in there a ton, but I think you hope to see some more production from those second-round picks. Really, this practice leading up in Detroit, the game in Detroit, and then the last preseason game in Tampa. Tampa at home.
The great Joe Reitz, he's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Again, joint practice for the Colts Wednesday and Thursday this week with the Lions. I do want to get to that in just a second. But, Joe, if you look at Frank Reich's approach this preseason, I mean, on Saturday, Colts played 20 starters. Bills played none. We know this week the starters are not going to play on Saturday, but it sounds like next Saturday with the Bucs, they will play, probably close to a half. We'll see if they get into the second half. Just your general thoughts on how the Colts and Frank Reich have changed up their approach to the preseason. It might not be as much as it was when you were playing in terms of the starters on the field, but it's certainly more than they have done in recent years.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Because that's the thing, Kevin. The NFL about 3-4 years ago shifted to all of a sudden like people just weren't playing in the preseason. And I'm not a fan of that because I think, one, you don't have as much practice time as you used to. 2, you're not in pads as much as you used to be. And so you have to have those live game reps to get better. Now, as a player, would I want to play in the preseason? Heck no. But is it best for the franchise? If those guys all play, I would say absolutely. And I think, to me, that's the biggest difference in this approach this year is Frank is letting everybody know that our starts, the last decade are unacceptable. And guess what, fellas? We're not starting like that this year. So guess what? We didn't play in the preseason last year, and we didn't show up week 1. We didn't play in the preseason 2 years ago, and we didn't show up week 1. So we're going to play in the preseason. And so not only are they getting the physical practice, which you need, the game reps, the live tempo together, but mentally, you as a player understand that this is different. And
but Jonathan, but you don't think. But Joe, Jonathan Taylor is the one that you say the exception, right?
Well, yeah, and I think with him not playing, everybody kind of knows. But I think Taylor's proven, and is it worth the risk on a guy like that? Your blue chip franchise player, probably not. But I just think the overall attitude, saying to the players that you're playing and we're playing in the preseason, and we're going to come out of the gates firing week 1 down in there in Houston and week 2 in Jacksonville. I think it's important. And I think that it's a really good call by Frank, and I applaud him for doing that and maybe bucking some of the trend that the NFL has now and never playing their starters in the preseason.
Joe, listeners of the show know full well where I stand on the wide receiver spot and what we've seen last week in Grand Park.
Where do you stand? I need to know going into this question here.
Well, I think of you extremely high. I think you should be in the Indiana High School Hall of Fame, by the way, if I can slide that in. I would say I'm on the polar opposite. Jake brought up earlier that the highest grade he's ever gotten in algebra class is 28%.
Yep.
I would say that probably falls in line with my thoughts on the whiteout group. If you were wearing a Chris Ballard hat right now and you had full reign on this roster, would you be looking into adding a veteran wideout?
I'm sure that they are, and I'm sure that they have their list. And I think the one thing is if you bring in a veteran wideout or you have one to start a camp, that's 30 days of reps and, 30 times 20 different routes. And you want to give young guys a chance to develop in camp. But I'm sure, like every other GM, they have a list and they have a ready list, and you're in communication with guys and agents, et cetera, potentially bring in. But I will say, too, that generally the roster your roster really isn't going to be a roster until probably week 4 or 5, if that makes sense, because you're going to churn the back end. Things are going to happen. All of a sudden, game 1 or 2, a guy that you thought was going to produce isn't going to produce. Maybe you do bring in a veteran at that time. So, to me, is this the same wide receiver core we're going to have week 5, 6? Remains to be seen. But I do think that, they're high on these young wide receivers and think they have a ceiling and think they just need a chance. And so they're going to give them every opportunity here through the rest of camp into the preseason and play. And I think I've been calling it production by association. I think that's what the wide receiver room is going to be. Pittman's a proven commodity, and, he might catch 100 balls. I think, with the depth of the tight end position and Hines, the Colts are going to get more catches from those guys and Jonathan Taylor than probably most average team. But I do agree you're going to need really wide receivers 2 and 3 to step up. Is that Pierce? Is that Campbell? Is that Doolin? Or is it another guy that's not on this roster yet? To me, that's all going to play out here over the next 3-4 weeks.
Joe, when we had Chris Bauer on last week, he said something similar, or I guess it was a couple weeks ago now, about, you can wait a little bit into the regular season before you make a move. My worry with that is you missed the playoffs by 1 game last year. You missed winning the division by 1 game a few years ago. 17 games, these are precious. And when you look at the schedule early in the season, the opportunity to get week 1 and week 2 is absolutely massive. And then you go 3, 4, 5, Kansas City, Tennessee, and Denver. Those are huge in their own right, and they're kind of jumbled together with Denver on a Thursday night. My worry is just, this isn't the NBA with 82 games or Major League Baseball with 162. If you drop one early and all of a sudden you're sitting there in December thinking, oh, man, that's the game that we really needed. I just feel like I fully understand giving the young guys the reps right now, but Matt Ryan with as a new quarterback, I'd want a veteran wideout in here to make sure that he gets on the same page with Matt Ryan if you need that guy week 1 or week 2.
Well, 2 quick thoughts there. One, if a wide receiver is on the street right now and out there, he's there for a reason, right? Jamar Chase isn't just out there for teams to pick up now. And so I think that's one thing that there's got to be some red flags pause for any wide receiver that is still out there. And then 2, if you're a veteran wide receiver and you have a veteran quarterback, you can give those guys 2-3 days and they're ready to go. And I think that's the difference, maybe this Colts team than, when you had Wentz or, Jacoby Brissett, and nothing against them, but a younger quarterback, a newer guy that doesn't have the 15 years in Pro Bowl and MVP experience Matt Ryan has, it would be harder, in my opinion, for those guys to get on the same page than if you brought in a veteran, after the first game. I would imagine a veteran wide receiver combo with Matt Ryan, those guys could get going and dialed up pretty quick.
Joe, when you look at the AFC, if everybody's healthy, okay, so let's say that all teams are healthy and all teams reach their maximum, how many teams in the AFC would you say are definitively better than Indianapolis?
That's why that you play the game, but I think on paper, Kansas City and Buffalo, I think, have earned that right to be favorites. I think that the AFC West is going to be super interesting because now you got Denver with Wilson, you got the Chargers, and you got the Raiders, who all have been there, but, the Chargers really haven't won anything yet. A new quarterback in Denver, how's that going to go? And then the same with Oakland. And I think if you look at the North, I think you would put Baltimore ahead of them because of the stability and, they've just win 11, 12 games. But Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, hasn't really won. Can you really trust him? So in my opinion, it's really probably KC and Buffalo, I would say, that I would put in a tier 1 of themselves. I think they both earn that right. And then I think everybody else is going to duel it out. And I go back to, what I've been saying all offseason. The Colts need to win the division. It'll be a disappointment in a big way if the Colts don't win the division. It's right for the taking. They haven't won it in 7 years. You win the division, which you should. You got a home playoff game. You win that, and then, it's 1 to 2 games, and you're in the big dance. And so I think the Colts are right in that mix in terms of what I would say on paper going in that tier 2 type team. The Baltimores, the Denvers, the Chargers,
yeah.
Et cetera.
It's interesting to me, Joe. I wanted you to offer a perspective on this because Baltimore as a franchise seemingly never goes away. The bottom never totally drops out for them, and I give a lot of credit to Baltimore for that. In years when you don't even think Baltimore's going to stick around, and I know they've got a dynamic player in Lamar Jackson. We talk so much about culture to a point where it's a buzzword that I almost get tired of, but you were in that franchise. You were a part of it. Is there a definitive moment or just thing that you witnessed with Baltimore that you were there that you said to yourself where you can look back on and say, that's why they are at minimum competitive every year?
I don't know that you have one definitive example, but I agree. When you have stability in organizations, those organizations, seem to be the ones that are there year over year. You think about Baltimore, you think about Pittsburgh, New England and the AFC, but so many similarities between the Ravens and the Colts with my time here, because the similarities were this: the bar was high and you were expected. Like, it wasn't you weren't happy if you won the division and won 12 games, right? You were happy if you won 2-3 playoff games. That was kind of almost taken. I think we've kind of taken that for granted as Colts fans, how hard that is. But I would say that, and then the stability, and then the day-to-day excellence of the organization. And that's all the way down from coaches to players to equipment guys to trainers, and everybody just was excellent on a day-in, day-out basis. And I think that's what the Colts are trying to refine here, so to speak, and bring it back to where, hey, every year pencil them in for 10, 11 wins, and the division's going to run through Indianapolis, and it hasn't for the last 7 years. But 9 of the previous 13 years, the Colts won the division, and they got to get back to this year, fellas. They just do. And do I think they're going to with Matt Ryan and his elite leadership that I would say he has? I think absolutely, and that's why I'm gunned up. I mean, everything is right for the taking, right? You got 2 very winnable road division games. You can get to 2-0, and you got Kansas City coming in. The city's going to be on fire, and then you got Tennessee. 5 of the first 7 weeks division games, the Colts have a chance to really take this by the throat, through the first part of the game. And now all of a sudden you roll into November 1st, and it's not a matter of, hey, can the Colts win the division? Can they bounce back? It's the matter of, hey, the Colts are going to win this darn division, and now let's talk about playoff seeding and how good we can go there. That's what I'm juiced up for, fellas. And that's what I hope comes to fruition here as this season plays out.
And again, just like last year, you get Tennessee both meetings before Halloween. Joe, last one, you mentioned the biggest week of the preseason of camp, the joint practice with Detroit Wednesday and Thursday. Starters will not play Saturday in the second preseason game. What, for any of our listeners going out to Grand Park, what should they be watching for in these joint sessions?
One, get out to Grand Park because it's awesome. So you have the Colts' number 1 offense versus Detroit's number 1 defense on one field. Then you have Detroit's offense and the Colts' defense on the other field. You can walk back and forth and watch the Colts O, the Colts D. But really, it'll be a game day atmosphere for players. I know when we had joint practices with the Bears when I played, you really had to approach that like game day. You woke up, you were locked in mentally, physically, emotionally, and they'll go through a normal practice. They'll have a run period where the Colts will be running the ball and Detroit's playing defense. Then you have a blitz period where Detroit's showing different blitzes, maybe that we haven't seen because they run some different stuff. Then you have a 7-on-7 period. They'll do one-on-ones, O-line, D-line, one-on-ones in the run game. And as the Colts, player, you're going against a different guy, a different skill set. All of a sudden, Pryor's blocking a different type of guy than Ngakoue, right? And, Ryan Kelly is fitting up against a different type of nose tackle, than we have on our own team. And the receivers are going to get different looks from DBs. And it's just going to be tremendous, I think, growth, opportunity to get better. And so I'm really excited to see how they come out. And for the starters, you mentioned, they're most likely not going to play Saturday. That's their game day. It's a game day Wednesday. It's a game day Thursday. And they get 2 chances to go against a Detroit team that, they're feeling good about themselves. They finished the year strong, and a Dan Campbell coach team. He coached me in Miami the 2 days I was down there. But they, that they're going to play hard. They're going to bring a lot of intensity. And so it should be some great football coming up Wednesday, Thursday.
Just make sure, Kevin, as if you're going out there, make sure that you have protection for your knees, because Dan Campbell chopping at the knees. Right?
He is. Yep.
Yeah.
Busting kneecaps.
They actually hand out knee pads, I think, this
right.
week, if you're the first 500 fans to show up there.
I'm sure there's going to be joke after joke coming from guys ribbing the other ones. Hey, no cut blocks now.
That's right.
Protect my knees here, despite what your head coach is saying.
That was Dan Campbell's introductory press conference. He made reference to that for those that are unfamiliar. Joe, appreciate the time as always. Look forward to talking to you as the preseason continues.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
That's Joe Reitz again on the Payless Liquors guest line.
And a fun listen on Saturday. I also enjoyed Greg Rakestraw, Henrik Venturi, and Lara Overton. They were on the TV broadcast. It'll be the same crew this Saturday. That'll be a 1 o'clock kick here at Lucas Oil Stadium. All right, we come back. Let's give the rookie class. Thought they did have a really nice performance on Saturday in Buffalo. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I think one guy locked up his position battle if you will, with what happened on Saturday. So we'll touch on that here coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. It's still an overcast, a little bit of a foggy Monday morning here in Indianapolis. Kevin and Query, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Last year, the Westfield Shamrocks made it to Lucas Oil Stadium for the 6A championship, while New Pal lost in the 5A regional championship. The Shamrocks take a long drive to the east side to take on the New Pal Dragons. It's a clash under Friday night lights, presented by CarX. Don't worry, call the CarX team. Eddie Garrison has the kickoff Friday night at 7. Friday Night Football on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Whether it's the news, the traffic, the weather, or your COVID-19 vaccinations, it's important to stay up to date. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Hey, it's JMV at Rays Trash Service. They're all about protecting the environment while bringing cost savings to you. Natural resources are going up in price, and landfill space is disappearing. So Rays is committed to preserving the Hoosier environment and serving Central Indiana with efficient, cost-effective, and responsible waste removal and recycling solutions. They're one of the largest recyclers in the state of Indiana with customer rebates on paper, cardboard, and so much more. Visit raystrash.com to see how they can bring recycling solutions to your organization.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, every day is a beach day. And with 35 miles of pristine, sugary white sand, it's easy to see why. So let's grab the beach bag, the beach ball, and the boogie board. Let's pack the suits, the sunscreen, and the sunglasses. Take a dip in the emerald green waters of the Gulf. And then take in a breathtaking sunset at the end of the day. So let's make a beeline to the beach. And let's shine. Plan your next getaway at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
The Jim Irsay Collection is coming to downtown Indianapolis September 9th, and it's free. Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay has what's been described as the world's greatest collection of rock guitars, musical instruments, and historical sports and pop culture memorabilia. The collection is highlighted by instruments and items from some of the greatest artists in music history. This free event is from 7 to 10 p.m. at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis and will feature a performance by the Jim Irsay Band with special guest Ann Wilson of Heart. For all the details and to register for your free ticket, head to JimIrsayCollection.com.
Alice in Chains and Breaking Benjamin. Live in concert this summer with Bush, plus special guests. This Wednesday at Ruoff Music Center. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Get up and get outside this summer with Alice in Chains and Breaking Benjamin.
O'Reilly. Improve your vehicle's gas mileage and power with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And right now, buy one 6-ounce bottle and get one free, plus earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Save money on gas and boost performance with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB, WIBC HD3 W228CX, Indianapolis. New Palace Steam hosts Westfield on Friday Night Football. The action begins at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
It's 8 o'clock in Indianapolis. It's 8 o'clock everywhere in the Eastern time zone. My name is Jake Query. Kevin Bowen is here as well. Mark Dykton is groggy, but still running the board for us this morning. Mark had little sleep because one of his kids is sick, right?
The middle one, well, I mean, it was a trifecta over the weekend. The wife and the oldest two were tag teaming who wants to throw up first.
Okay.
That was fun. And then the middle one this morning, like 4 a.m., all over the bed.
Your house is how many bedrooms?
It's 3 at the moment.
Do you have a basement?
No.
Do you have, what's the furthest that you can be from any other humans?
Oh, you just want me to keep my distance and quarantine from them?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying for me personally, if everybody was sick, I'd be like, well, you guys are on your own.
I can go to the garage.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And
I'd sleep there. I don't want to be interrupted. My mom, I remember when I was probably in 4th grade. So older than your kids are, granted. But I got sick one morning before school. And my mom's like, I've been dealing with this for too long. You're old enough now. You can clean it up. That was it. It was on my own.
She's 3, so I don't think she'd comprehend what that meant. But
I used to love staying home from school. I'd go over to my grandma's. She'd make me pasta, and we'd watch the Cubs game on WGN.
It was always fun staying home from school when you were sick until about 2 p.m. You're like, you've watched, once you got into the soap operas, it was like, ugh.
Yeah. Luckily, my grandma loved sports. I was like, all right.
Speaking of staying home from school, Kevin, I wanted you to take me to school this morning. Okay?
Oh, God. It is kind of back to college week, right?
Dead week right now. Classes resume for me on the 22nd.
It's a welcome week. Where are the parties at?
Well, there was a rager above me over the weekend. I can tell you that much. So here's my question for you. As I was watching the Colts game peripherally a little bit, but looking at Twitter in particular, I always notice that there are new buzzwords in the NFL. Every year there are new buzzwords that I'm like, wait a minute, is that the term we're using now? Usually it means the same things, but this year's buzzword, I saw it literally, I think it was trending, to use the word the kids use on Twitter. And I know what it means, but low red zone. Now, low red zone simply means the red zone is the area between the 20-yard line and the end zone. So you're in the red zone. Now, low red zone means that you have made it within the final 10 yards, right?
Yeah. Well, the field shrinks even more.
When did this become a new term?
I think it's an analytical-driven thing of, like, if you put all the red zone stats together, what you're trying to achieve from the 20 to the 10 is probably not as, accurate as 10.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mark.
Now, but Rick Venturi, I think he calls the red zone, I believe, once you get to the 30, if I'm not mistaken. Would that be the high red zone?
That is, yeah, apparently, right? The extended red zone. So here's my question for you, though. I realize, Kevin, that some of this is going to be nuanced, that people that are big-time Colts fans are going to be in their car going, come on, everybody knows this. But we do a sports radio show. It's not necessarily specifically esoterically an NFL show or a Colts show. We have people, even though I think the NFL, you could probably say that 8 or 9 out of 10 people listening to this are Colts or NFL fans. But for those that aren't, and for those even that might be big-time football fans that hear these phrases and want their friends to think they know exactly what they mean, can you break down for me a few of these? And if it's a position, can you tell me what position on the field people should be looking for, because that's the guy playing it, okay?
Okay.
For example.
Give my best effort here.
For example, when I was a kid, Mike Singletary was the quintessential middle linebacker. That is now known as the Mike linebacker, right? And Mike doesn't mean necessarily he's the guy with a microphone. It means Mike meaning middle, right?
Although it often means you are the one.
Correct. You're kind of the quarterback, right?
Yeah. Calling the plays, getting it from the Gus Bradley or Matt Eberflus on the sidelines.
Okay, so the Mike linebacker, there's Mike linebacker, Sam linebacker, which is strong side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Will linebacker, which I always just knew as weak side linebacker. So if you could, Kevin Bowen, tell me the 3 players that most likely we are going to see that fit each category, and the difference in responsibility between the strong side or Sam, Mike or middle, and weak side or Will linebacker.
Yeah, we have seen a little change this year, Jake, with this group. Under Matt Eberflus, the Will linebacker was then, I guess, Darius Leonard, now Shaquille Leonard. But think back to those Tampa Bay Buccaneers defenses with Derek Brooks, of a guy that's, you're going to funnel so much to him. He's going to be big in the playmaking department, those types of responsibilities. Now with Gus Bradley, if you look at the Colts depth chart, they actually have Shaquille Leonard listed as the Mike linebacker. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen him on the practice field, so I don't think we totally know what that will look like. Bobby Okereke would then be the weak side linebacker, the Will linebacker, and Zaire Franklin would be the Sam. You would typically only bring Sam being strong. Strong side, wherever the line of scrimmage is heaviest. If there's an extra tight end on the line of scrimmage, that Sam linebacker is going to be opposite that tight end, primarily for rundowns.
So let me ask you this dumb question. The strong side of the line means the side of the line that the opposition is lining up more guys on, or the area of the field, if the ball is not set right in the middle of the field, that has the bigger amount of space? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where the extra...
It's determined by the opponent's lineup.
Yeah, so if you've got two tight ends on one side of the line of
That's your
scrimmage,
strong
you're
side.
going to put Zaire Franklin opposite that.
Right.
Again, he is not going to play a ton. Right now he is without Leonard, but in modern day NFL, you're only using your nickel or your base package, which is 3 linebackers. You're only using that probably like 20% of the time.
Okay.
Nickel is when you take one of those linebackers off the field, Franklin, and you bring a extra corner on the field. In the Colts case, that would be Brandon Faison. Then Kenny Moore would bump inside to play that nickel corner spot. When you go nickel, 5 defensive backs, hence the term nickel, 3 cornerbacks, and 2 safeties.
Okay, so hold on. So for kids that are listening, because when I was a kid, my dad would make things like so that I'd remember them. So if the other team lines up 2 tight ends instead of 1 on a side of the ball, then your strong linebacker needs to be strong because he's got to now he's working with 2 instead of 1. I mean, I know he's not guarding them themselves, but that side of the line is heavier, so he's got to be a little bit stronger,
Yeah,
right?
certainly more of a
guy.
physical presence, maybe
Right.
less of a speed guy.
Okay, so unless those extra guys lining up on that side of the ball are receivers, at which point you need an additional small little fast guy, so you take your strong side linebacker out and replace him with a corner. Thus, this is a nickel package, correct?
Yes.
And the nickel corner for the Colts that comes in to help out in that situation is?
Well, that's where it gets confusing. Kenny Moore and Stephon Gilmore are going to be on the field a whole lot. So when you're in your base package, you only have 2 corners. It's Kenny and it's Stephon Gilmore. And then when you go nickel, you bring Brandon Faison on the field, and Kenny Moore then becomes the nickel corner. Kenny Moore goes from lining up on the outside of the numbers to lining up inside of the numbers, closer to the line of scrimmage, closer to the linebackers. Oftentimes it's opposite the opponent's slot receiver, those things. And you saw that on Saturday. The Colts actually opened up in their nickel package, so you saw it from the first snap. Brandon Faison, number 31, he'd be your 3rd corner right now.
Now, let me give you another buzzword that I heard about 3 years ago. This really became, it was everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of went away. You didn't hear about it as much anymore. But for a while there, and it came on like a house of fire. I mean, it was like brush fire. Like you literally, have you ever heard of the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon?
No.
I believe I'm saying that correctly. That is the phenomenon that, like, if someone introduces you to something with which you were previously unfamiliar, a word or phrase, a person, an ideology, once they explain it to you, then you realize you run into it all over the place. You're like, wow, like somebody just told me this new word today, and then I heard it 7 times the next day. You probably are hearing it no more than you ever had before. You're just now aware of it, so it's on your radar. So maybe that was the case with this term. But all of a sudden, like I'll say 3-4 years ago, every NFL game I watched, every single piece of analysis I listened to, every single thing I read, all anybody was talking about was RPO. This quarterback there, you see it right here out of the RPO. Tony Romo was big on this. Every single snap that he was doing, he's like, see right there, he's running the RPO. There's the RPO. There's the RPO. Constantly. Now, the RPO was everybody was running that, and the NFL is a cyclical league. It's a copycat league. People start playing one system, have success, then suddenly now everybody's doing it. But break down for me RPO, meaning quarterback that most we see it with, and how you recognize it.
Well, I would think, honestly, Jake, that was more of a college thing that's migrated into the NFL. Heavy college,
right,
is where we first saw it. So RPO, the acronym would stand for Run, Pass, Option.
Option, right.
So theoretically, if, let's just go with the Colts. Matt Ryan sticks it in the belly of Jonathan Taylor. That is an option there that you have on the play. Matt Ryan is reading the eyes of defenders. We don't need to overly complicate whose eyes he's reading, but a defensive end's eyes, primarily that. If he feels like the Colts have a numbers advantage, he'll give the ball to Jonathan Taylor in the gut. Jonathan Taylor, boom, he's up the middle. If not, Matt Ryan will pull the ball, and he'll make a quick throw to whoever, Michael Pittman, Mo Alley Cox, etc. Matt Ryan obviously doesn't really have this skill set, but Lamar Jackson does. You see it with the Ravens and their very unique offense. The run-pass option also involves the quarterback running with the football if you do have a quarterback with that skill set. So the Ravens probably do it more than anybody.
The Bills probably do it, right?
Yeah, the Bills do. I'd say the Ravens are the most potent just given Lamar Jackson's ability to run. You obviously have to account for him much more than you would have to account for a guy like Matt Ryan. Again, the Colts are still going to run it, and they do it a good amount, but you just don't have the threat.
Now, when I was a younger guy, this basically was the dinosaur of this before the evolution of it all. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was just the draw play. Like Edgerrin James was the king of the draw play, right? Like Manning, drops back, waits a second, and then boom, you hand off. I mean, it's a little bit different, but I guess a draw play was more like you set it up like you're going to pass, and then you end up running. An RPO is you set it up like you're going to run, and then you possibly end up passing, right?
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
And so the Matt Ryan, for example, Matt Ryan to you, Kevin Bowen, when you look at, I'll say Carson Wentz because that's who we saw for a year, and then prior to that, Phillip Rivers, but we only saw him for a year, and then Andrew Luck. So maybe you even go to comparison of Andrew Luck just because of body of work and totality of number of plays. But Matt Ryan, in terms of what he brings to the table, what the offense can do with him or is designed to do, will look similar or different to what we've seen in what way?
I think similar to the Phillip Rivers year of, for the run-pass option standpoint, where Carson Wentz gave you an advantage was his ability to run, like use his legs a little bit there. Where Matt Ryan has an advantage is reading the defense and knowing where you have an advantage numbers-wise. That's where the Colts feel like Matt Ryan will help them out in the run-pass option of he can process right away and know, all right, I need to give the ball to Taylor. I need to pull the ball. We need to throw it in this situation. That is where the pros would be of Matt Ryan running a run-pass option versus Carson Wentz running the run-pass option.
Now, you've got the nickel package that we talked about. Isn't there a dime package? What is the dime package?
Yeah, throw one more defensive back on the field. So you got 6 total.
And that would be...
Colts hardly run dime.
If they were, it would be who? Or do we even know?
Boy, probably not. Maybe the extra safety.
Dallas Flowers, baby.
Rodney McLeod had that pick when he came in for Nick Cross after the first series. The reason the Colts don't want to run dime, Jake, is because then theoretically you're taking Shaquille Leonard or Bobby Okereke off the field. And the Colts want both of those guys on the field. When you bring up the whole run-pass option thing, this is what I'm kind of getting at with the receivers, and I think we saw a little bit of it on Saturday, Jake, and we have seen it now because this is a trend that we've continued to see. To me, for the passing game to excel in 2022, so much of it is going to be predicated on what you create off of Jonathan Taylor's attention and what Frank Reich and Matt Ryan can draw up and just kind of chess piece their way around. I just don't think you have a ton of individual talent to win on a consistent basis. Separation, I think, will be an issue unless you're able to scheme it up at a high level. And I just think winning one-on-one matchups, that's going to be a question all year long. It just seems like you are so predicated on, again, Taylor draws all the attention, and you have an advantage there because everyone's committed to the run, and that opens up some favorable matchups in the pass game, and or you need Frank Reich to scheme some things up and Matt Ryan to give you an advantage, snap in, snap out.
Now, if you were one who we had mentioned, since I'm in dead week here, before classes begin on the 22nd, so it's party week, if there's one guy that was going to be throwing a party that plays for the Colts on Saturday night once he got back, it was probably Rodrigo Blankenship, right?
Well, and I also think the first week of college I always thought was a party week, syllabus week, right? Yeah, they just go over the syllabus. You don't need to be paying attention in class. You got 2 weeks to party.
Did you go to the syllabus class day?
It might be the son of two teachers in me, Jake. I rarely skipped in college.
Really?
I'm pretty risk averse.
The problem with skipping class was it's like anything else. You can say you're like, you know what? I'm just going to do it this one time, and then it's like an avalanche, right? Which is why you're 50 finishing your degree.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Hot Rod.
28% on math is looking a little more obvious now.
Hot Rod
algebra, not
night.
just math.
Hot Rod had a great night because Jake Verity missed an extra point. And like Jake Verity to have won the job or seriously threatened for the job, he needed the reverse to happen like 4 times. He needed Hot Rod to miss and him to make on multiple occasions for him to keep that job. Again, I still don't understand why they didn't trot Hot Rod out there for like the 55, 56-yarder.
I mean, why not, right? Just to see.
Yeah, again, I'm getting deep into the kicker weeds, but that makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't need to see Nick Foles go for it on 4th down. But yeah, Hot Rod. If the Colts are going to have a kicker not named Rodrigo Blankenship this year, at this point, I think it's got to come from somebody else's roster.
By the way, speaking of other rosters, what quarterbacks' names did you hear over the weekend that you're like, that guy's still in the league?
Joe Flacco, considering what the situation is with Zach Wilson.
Sounds like Joe Flacco's going to start week 1
Correct,
against
because
the Ravens.
Zach Wilson got hurt, right, for the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw Flacco, I'm like, are you kidding me?
I was shocked that Matt Barkley was still playing.
Totally. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. Like, I thought he looked okay, right? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, the Bills, like Josh Allen, Case Keenum, Matt Barkley, that's a pretty good quarterback room when you think about it. He was the one. I'm trying to think of who else.
Nathan Peterman, who's the 3rd stringer on the Bears. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot we signed that guy.
Well, where did he come from?
He was on the Bills, and
I mean,
he was the guy that had like, what, he had like
Didn't
six
he throw like 6 interceptions,
6 interceptions
and like 15
and,
passes at one point?
Yeah, he's that guy.
Now,
yeah, we need him on the roster.
Flacco is like weekend at Bernie's, right? I mean...
Now, you know who's on the Lions roster coming in this week.
No, hold on. Is this a quarterback?
Quarterback.
Oh, David Blau?
David Blau, baby.
Yeah. He's done a nice... He's stuck around for a while, right? He's been there for a while.
He has. And now the most obscure backup in the NFL, Mark, you would probably know this from the NFC North days because he backed up Aaron Rodgers. He is now, I assume, he is the backup to Jared Goff. Do you have any idea, Jake, the backup quarterback to Jared Goff? Used to be Aaron Rodgers' backup.
Oh, what's the guy? Well, this would be well past Matt Flynn.
I think his brother coached college basketball for a while at a pretty high level.
Went to Eastern Kentucky, if that helps you at all.
The brother did or the quarterback did?
The quarterback did.
His brother, I think, was Colorado's coach. And by brother, I just mean they have the same last name.
Patton? Wasn't he the basketball coach at Colorado? You said basketball coach at Colorado?
Yeah. I should probably double check this.
All right, hit me with it.
Tim Boyle.
Yeah, there's no way I would have known that.
Tad Boyle, wasn't that his name at Colorado?
I'm more impressed that you know of Tad Boyle than the fact you know Tim Boyle.
Like,
to be truthful.
I feel like they'd pan to the sidelines and Rodgers would be looking at the tablet. I'd be like, who the hell is their backup? And
who is the kid?
Tim Boyle. Did he ever take a snap for Green Bay outside of kneel downs?
I mean, that'd be the best job ever, right? I mean, to be like the Jim Sorgi of whatever, you know what I mean? Who was the kid that was the Drew Stanton? Remember when Drew Stanton was here for the Colts for a year or two out of Michigan State? He was like a nice Michigan State player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He made a living in the NFL.
He was a Lion.
And I think he went to the Cardinals also, maybe. Like, that's what David Blau reminds me of. Like, if you can get in the league and show just enough promise that people are like, you know what, we're going to keep this guy around because you never know. He might be the next Kurt Warner and just keep him there. Before you know it, it's been 7 years and you've racked up, $3 million in earnings. Hell yeah.
Did I see Greg Doyle write that Sam Ehlinger should be the backup over Nick Foles?
Okay. I don't know.
I thought I read that.
Would you agree with that?
He was asking Frank Reich on the conference call yesterday if they were competing with each other. I was like, boy. And then all of a sudden Frank's Zoom froze and he had
to Greg's point,
reappear on phone.
I would say this to Greg's point. I don't know if this is where Greg was going with this, but if Sam Ehlinger is not somebody that you are confident being a backup quarterback, then why is he on your roster? Unless you are grooming him to eventually be a backup quarterback, and if that's the case, then at some point,
that's
everybody like
every team
every
has
guy
3 or 4 quarterbacks on their roster right now. You got to have 3 or 4.
Does your wife buy stuff from Amazon?
Yeah.
Mark's your wife buy things from Amazon?
No, she does not like Amazon.
Okay. Does she buy anything mail order at all?
Yeah, Target, all that stuff.
Do you ever keep boxes?
Yes, especially for the movie we did.
Yeah, so you have boxes that you're like, people are like, why do you have this box in this like closet in your basement? This box has been here for 3 years. Someday I might need it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't throw that box. That's a good box. Looks sturdy. Someday I might need it.
We have a tape job on that box.
Like, at what point, eventually someone's like, look, you got to either decide, put something in the box or get rid of it, right? That's how young backup quarterbacks are, Kevin. Like, is Sam Ehlinger, is he just the box that it's like, someday we might need him. Don't go down to the basement and take him. Someday we might need him. Yeah, but he's been sitting there on your shelf now for a year and a half.
Well, I think everyone keeps a third quarterback on their practice squad right now.
I get that.
So, I got no issue. I'm just like, did we not watch Ehlinger last year in the preseason?
I'm imagining a marriage deteriorating over a box.
Oh, don't kid yourself. That guys, when it comes to
mirror the box. Well, pack your bags, sweetheart.
When it comes to to a good quality, I'm telling you right now, guarantee you. And I'm the one guy here that's not married in this group. I guarantee you, there are guys in their car right now nodding their head like, "Amen, man. You got a good quality, sturdy box. You can't throw that thing away. Can't break that down and take it outside. You just can't do it."
This is a hell of a way to start a Monday.
Kevin, do you want to hit the check down there?
You think you guys think I'm kidding?
No, I
relax with the dirty euphemisms. I'm telling you.
What are you talking about? My head did not go there.
I know
Nothing
exactly.
on my end.
I know exactly what you guys are up to.
Before we get to a morning check down, I do want to give a shout out to Brock. Brock texted me earlier today. How about this? Currently in St. Vincent parking lot, listening to you guys, about to go watch my first son be born. So, shout out to Brock.
Wait, is Brock waiting for us to go to a break before he goes in?
I think he wanted to hear the morning check down, and I asked him, I was like, do you care if I mention the son's name? He said, go right ahead. The son will be called Knox. Knox. So, Brock, shout out to you. Hope mom is doing well and that everything goes smoothly on this Monday morning.
How many centimeters dilate is he? 8? All right, I got time. I can wait till the check down.
That's right.
The Morning Checkdown. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Relieving your joint pain at QCkinetics.com. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We hope that the delivery of Knox is perfect, which is exactly what Drew Rasmussen almost was yesterday for the Rays. 4-1 over Cute Fella. Had a perfect game going into the ninth, and then all of a sudden a double. First pitch of the ninth inning. Perfect game gone, no gone, but the Rays win 4-1. Elsewhere in Major League Baseball yesterday, it was the Reds over the Cubs 8-5. Cardinals over the Brewers 6-3. Albert Pujols hit 2 home runs. He is now just 6 shy of Alex Rodriguez for 4th all-time in the Major League list. Indianapolis Indians on the short end 11-2 to the Memphis Redbirds.
I mentioned earlier, the Colts, nothing today at Grand Park. They will get back to practice tomorrow. Just a little bit over an hour is the scheduled practice time for tomorrow. The Lions come to town Wednesday and Thursday for joint practices. And then Saturday will be the preseason home opener. That will kick at 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium. Here was Frank Reich on Saturday evening with his thoughts on the preseason opener in Buffalo.
Defensively, I thought it was good. I mean, we held them pretty tight there. Didn't allow a touchdown. Had a bunch of turnovers. A lot of good signs there. Obviously, it got loose at the end, so we'll have to tighten that up. Offensively, there were a lot of good signs as well. I thought we had a good mix. Still need to get better at certain places, but we'll take a good look at the film. I thought, Matt looked pretty sharp. I really thought Matt looked sharp. I thought Nick, really bounced back well, and obviously Sam looked good as well.
I did think Matt Ryan was on target. Jake, 6 of 10, but I really thought, I can't think of really anything that was off target from him.
Again, I don't know, how much do you think they tested him? Does that make sense?
You mean Buffalo tested him?
Or the Colts, either one.
I didn't see too many downfield passes.
No, I mean, there was nothing vertical.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, from a schematic standpoint, it was very vanilla. I mean, Paris Campbell had a drop. You could make the argument he had potentially another drop. I was like, can we get a few more replays of some of these? And I did think there a few times I'm like,
do you like vanilla ice cream?
I went with cookie dough on Saturday with Rosie.
But vanilla is basically the base of all flavored cookies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Mark?
Just had some yesterday with some hot caramel on top of it from Freddy's Steak.
Are you a caramel or a caramel guy?
Caramel.
Okay. That's the town, though, right?
Yeah, you get roundabouts and statues if you get that as your topping.
That's right. Give me a number 1 through 36. Yesterday in NASCAR, Cup Series, it was Kevin Harvick that went over Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher. That's the top 3. But give me number 1 through 36. We'll do our lifetime supply of sponsorship. Mark?
36.
36 for Kevin Bowen. You are going to get this is nice. Year's supply of Jordan brand.
Oh,
Ty Gibbs, Jordan brand Toyota.
For last place, let's go.
27.
27 for Mark Dykton. You get a year's supply of Todd Gilliland's The Pete Store.
The what store?
It says The Pete Store. Is that a pet store or Pete Store?
I thought it was the feet store.
You got to go in there like Pete Rohan, my buddy. Is he for sale? You go in and buy Pete?
There's Pete Rose over here. I think wait, I don't want him these days.
All right, give me a number for myself, Mark.
I still don't know what I got. The Pete store or the pet store? What do I got? I don't understand.
Look up the Pete Store. Can you look it up and see what it is?
Let's go with 1 for you, Jake.
P-E-T-E. What's that?
Let's go with 1.
Number 1, Kevin Harvick, Mobile One. Year supply of Mobile One.
I would like to have Kevin's. I
was going to say, I think I am the easy winner on that one. All right, finally, the Fever. Their season comes to an end, 5-31. So if I'm doing the math right here, and this could actually be a good little preview for your algebra class coming up here, Jake. 5-31.
Yep, it's
okay. 25-57. You add up the 30-88 combined this year. The Pacers and the Fever.
Hell yeah. That's
do you
about.
Do you think an NBA, WNBA city's ever had 88 losses in a season? Did Pacers Gaming have a good year? We need something to celebrate. Can we get Eddie White on to talk Pacers Gaming? 30-88. The Pacers and Fever this season. Probably a good year to do the rotating games around Gainbridge, around the city of Indianapolis, right?
What do you think the attendance was for the last one?
I saw a couple crowd
88?
shots of Hinkle and boy.
It's fan appreciation night for fan singular.
Yeah.
By the way, the Pete Store is Peterbilt trucks.
I was just going to say. I was hoping it was like a lifetime supply of Adventures of Pete and Pete reruns.
I don't know if I've told you, but truck driver, one of my dream jobs. But the other one, I actually applied for a job Saturday. Did I tell you guys this?
Applied for a job on Saturday?
I did.
With Quack Daddy?
No, not Quack Daddy Donuts, although we have still yet to do our Camp Champ of the Day from Quack Daddy Donuts. And I've got to clear it with, I don't know if they'll let me do it here, but I applied for, I'm not going to say the name of the place, but I want to work in a grocery store. I figured like in the afternoons, we got the afternoons free, right? Afternoon, early evenings.
Would you be a bagger? Would you be a cashier? Would
Both.
you stock shelves?
I applied for front office clerk, which would be bagger and cashier.
He just wants to do price checks.
But not
price check, aisle 6.
Not at the Marsh there at 62nd Keystone?
Well, the Marsh at 62nd and Keystone, thank you for asking, Kevin. The people, the big church that bought that, they ran into some issues with COVID in terms of the renovation, which was 2 years ago, and they're apparently still using that excuse. I mean, it's a good-looking building there. You need some plywood at your place. They got plenty of it thrown up.
Shout out to Brock and Knox. Knox being born into the world today. Brock, we hope that the listening in the delivery room is going well and that you guys are entertained and feeling informed here.
Do you think they're listening to us in the...
maybe I was a little premature with that.
Do you think right now they're saying push, but hang on just a second. We've got the champ, the Camp Champ of the Day coming up.
He might be calling Mark right now to dial in and give us a little sneak peek behind things here. Give us your thoughts on the preseason opener for the Colts. 317-239-1070 at KBowen1070 at Jake Query as well on Twitter. Good day for the rookie class. We'll touch on that when we come back.
At thehomeloanexpert.com, our rates are over a quarter point lower than the national average. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com. NMLS number 1326-241.
Circle K is America's thirst stop. And yours, especially when the weather gets... and you need to stay refreshed on the go with ice-cold Circle K favorites like freshly ground iced coffee, Froster, Polar Pop Cup, and more. Think of it as the ultimate thirst-quenching, totally rehydrating summer splash zone. When life's go, 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 make us your first stop. Because Circle K is America's thirst stop.
Motley Crue, Def Leppard, The Stadium Tour, a once-in-a-lifetime event with Poison and Joan Jett of the Blackhearts. Tomorrow night, Lucas Oil Stadium. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Motley Crue, Def Leppard, the Stadium Tour.
You know, very good night on the injury front for the Colts on Saturday. But if you're dealing with joint pain, you can get help, get you moving back how you should be, especially as we reach the latter half of the summer. I'm talking QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving lasting relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. They started with one clinic last year, but the demand has been so strong that QC Kinetics now has clinics in Eagle Creek and Greenwood, and there is more on the way. Modern advances in regenerative medicine that allow these medical professionals to take the remarkable healing properties from your own body, concentrate them for maximum power, and put them directly into your aching joints so your damaged tissue can be repaired and restored all naturally. So many people are living their best life again, pain-free, thanks to QC Kinetics. If you have pain in your knees, hip, back, shoulder, don't let them keep you on steroids, and don't believe that surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics and get a free consultation today. That is 463-235-7160. Get locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160.
My name is Kayla Sinders, and I work for Gleaners Food Bank. I am a local service manager for 3 counties in our 21-county service area, and I nominated Katie.
And I'm Jiffy Lube owner Steve Sanner. At Jiffy Lube, we are proud to support Hoosier charities that use their vehicles to do more to make Indiana a better place to live.
My name is Katie Wilkerson. I pick up at the mobile food pantries. The best part of volunteering to hand someone some food and see the smile on their face, the relief. Without my vehicle, there's no way I'd be able to do this. To go to any of the pantries, it's at least 18 miles.
Jiffy Lube of Indiana provides all of our Do More winners with free vehicle maintenance for a year. Because now at Jiffy Lube, our trained technicians do more to keep vehicles like theirs and yours on the road. Brakes, tires, batteries, and more. As well as Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
If you know a volunteer who impacts your community, nominate them today to receive a year's worth of free vehicle maintenance. Just click the Do More tab at JiffyLubeIndiana.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Colts DB Stephon Gilmore joins us. So you've gone against those Colts pass catchers in practice. What do you think?
I think they got a lot of big receivers that can make, big catches. Like, have a lot of height, but those guys can make plays. And, I'm looking forward to those guys having a good year, coming out and doing what they're capable of doing. With Matty Ice, throwing the ball. I think it's going to be a good thing going.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
25 minutes before the hour, 9 o'clock. Jake Query along with Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton. It is Kevin and Query on a Monday. Good Monday morning to you. Hope you are getting set to start a fabulous week. By the way, just so you guys know, Michael just sent me a text. Yep, I used that box this weekend. I'm telling you. Guys will hold on to him for years. This is a really good question from Steve. Since we know that Kevin was rooting for the Notre Dame quarterback, that's Jack Cohn, how disappointing was it to see him wither once he got into the game?
Yeah, he was bad. Yeah, Jack Cohn should just be grateful. I assume he'll play Saturday, right? Do you play Nick Foles Saturday?
I think it's me last time, Ehlinger and Jack Cohn.
Just Ehlinger and Cohn? Yeah. Yeah, Cohn was bad. I mean, trust me, not for 1 second ever thought Jack Cohn would be on an NFL roster.
You still have Ian Book you can root for in New Orleans.
Ian Book, saw that. He got sacked by one of his former teammates in that Texans matchup on Saturday. Kurt's been hanging on for quite a while. Kurt, you caught the preseason game out of state?
Yeah, good morning. It's Kurt down in sunny Arkansas. I just wanted to tell you, if you are not, watching the local broadcast, I've had the Sunday ticket for probably a dozen years. And I wish they do like the NBA does, where if you buy an NBA game or something like that, you can choose the broadcast, Pacers broadcast or, Chicago's broadcast. Well, I got to watch the game on NFL Network and didn't get to hear, Rakestraw or Venturi. And they had Steve Tasker. I'm not sure who the other guy was, but a couple of funny things. They, the first half, they were only mentioning Matt Ryan's name and Naheem Hines. Now, of course, it felt like 11 out of the first 12 plays was was to Hines. But they didn't mention a single other Colts player, and I kid you not, till about 3 minutes ago in the first half. And it's like, hey, complete pass to number 6. And it's like, who is that? And they're like, Isaiah Ford. I think the guy's name was. So, anyway, it's...
well, they threw to like 12 different receivers by the end of the game. They should have been familiar with the entire depth chart, right?
Yeah, but it's like, I get being a homer crowd, and I would have loved to hear, Rick Strawberry Cherry. I got to hear a little bit of the pregame, but I mean, it's like they never even mentioned an opposing player. It was pretty crazy.
So you can only get the home team's broadcast in the preseason on the Sunday Ticket.
Well, no, they don't give you preseason on the Sunday Ticket, which is a huge.
Were you watching NFL Network?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. I thought you meant...
So NFL Network takes the home broadcast. And unfortunately, and Kurt obviously knows this, when you get in the regular season, which is different about the NFL versus the NBA has 2 different broadcast teams. The Pacers have their team and the Pistons have their team.
One, right.
In the NFL, you obviously only have the national broadcast. Rake in true fashion, and thank you, Kurt, for the call. True fashion, Rake and Coach Venturi were outstanding, and Lara Overton, nice job handling the in-game interviews as well. And what I appreciate too is Rake's diligence. He makes sure that you know a little bit about the Bills players, enough to just have a general idea of what is going on. And I thought the most interesting aspect early on, Jake, in the game was just 2 teams and how vastly different their approach was to the opener. The Bills played 0 starters, and the Colts played 20 starters. And the Colts played those offensive starters into the second quarter. I think that's much longer than I thought they were going to.
Well, the Colts...
Do you think that's because it was...
I think it's because
tough sled, and they had 4 drives and 2 first downs.
I think you go as long as you safely can with Ryan, because even though you know who Matt Ryan is and what Matt Ryan brings, you want to know who plays well off of him. Does that make sense? I mean, you want to know. I think listen, Matt Ryan's a known quantity, but he is being put into now. You are putting him into an offense that you need to get a really good idea as to. In other words, if you've got a situation where you're not sure about, like at your tight end position, I think we know that Mo Alley-Cox is your tight end, but then you have other tight ends on the field, and you want to know, you know what, I'm not sure between tight ends 2, 3, 4, and 5, how I want to rank them. What I do know is if they get in games in the regular season, they're going to be playing with Matt Ryan, so that's who I need to see how they feed off of and what their timing is, etc. I think Ryan is out there to an extent, Kevin, not because they need to assess Matt Ryan, but they need to assess how others react to him.
Any concern over the O-line? Nyheim Hines, about 3 yards per carry. Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith, both with penalties.
I think the offensive line
Matt Ryan sacked once.
No, I think the offensive line
against the Bills' backups
is the safe, from our standpoint, that's a safety net, right? Of like our safe go-to is just like, what about the O-line? And I get it. Offensive line, I think it lost a little bit of how much weight that safety net can carry last season, though. I don't think it was an elite group last year. Yeah, I would agree with that, but I guess what I'm saying is, Kevin, like, there are not many offensive line elite groups in the NFL. So I think, yes, are there areas that you would like to have more stability and security and feel good about it from an offensive line? Yes, but that's kind of par for the course in the NFL. I think we've just been spoiled by some of the players that we've seen and the continuity that we've seen over the years with the offensive line. Are there areas that at times are going to be porous? Perhaps. But I do think that they have, Chris Ballard preaches depth. I think that that's what they're working on. I go back to me, the line is really dependent upon 2 things. It's dependent upon Pryor being the guy that everyone claims that he is going to be, and Ryan Kelly staying healthy. If Ryan Kelly's probably your most important piece, because if he can't go, then you've got to move Pinter over, and then all of us, now you're reshuffling the chairs all over the deck, right?
Yeah, domino effect of losing
Correct.
2 starters there.
Correct.
My good friend Steve is on the line. Steve, you weren't happy with the fourth quarter collapse?
Yes, but first of all, with regard to boxes, about 40 Colts are going to need boxes over the next 3 weeks.
That is true. But I'm telling you, wouldn't you guess that of those 40, probably 30 of them have like a good, safe box somewhere where they're like, I can't throw that away, man. That's a good box.
You know, as Kendra said, NFL, not for long.
Yep, you're right. This time of year in particular.
You know, the fourth quarter collapse was somewhat discouraging because it just brought back shades of last season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get too worked up about it. I get that it probably brings up some bad memories, but, I mean, Jake, talking about boxes and who's going to be on this football team, there's maybe 2 Colts on the field in the fourth quarter that will make the 53-man roster. And there's 2 Bills on the fourth quarter that'll make the 53-man roster. So, I'm not going to. Preseason wins and losses and, you know, the score and the game flow and all of that, I think you evaluate each individual quarter. When the starters are out there, you evaluate that. But, you know, a bunch of random undrafted free agents blowing the game in the fourth quarter, I don't think that matters much for DeForest Buckner, Stephon Gilmore and company.
But does it, as Barkley's driving them down not once but twice down the field, what you are hoping is that you see a big play, that you see at least one guy that steps forward and you go, okay, that guy. In other words, if you were to take DeForest Buckner, Yannick Ngakoue, Kwity Paye, and put them with that in that situation, they would shine and you would go, okay, that's an NFL player that's out there on the field right now with a bunch of guys that are USFL players, right? So what you're looking for is somebody that jumps out and shows that kind of a separation, because then you're like, I mean, I'm not saying to the level of a starter, but somebody that jumps out and you say, this player has jumped out because they look like they are, in fact, a rotational, situational NFL player. And this is the opportunity for a guy like that to make that statement.
Yeah, but again, that's individual. That is,
right.
To me, that is no bearing on.
But what I'm asking you is this. Did you see, and I'm not saying the answer is no, I'm asking legitimately, did you see anybody, as Matt Barkley is, like, for example, Matt Barkley, NFL quarterback, yeah, he's not a starter. But Matt Barkley in that situation, in those 2 drives, looked very in control, very poised, whatever. And so you would say to yourself, okay, he at least is looking like what I would want a guy that can occasionally play on Sunday to look like. So therefore, Matt Barkley, like, safe, right? Are there players, or was there a player on the Colts defense that as you watched that fourth quarter that you would say to yourself, okay, that guy at least looks like he knows what's going on and he can play? Did anybody jump out at you?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple guys. I thought Cameron Klein, we've talked about him, number 92. I thought he had a couple rushes, not necessarily in the fourth quarter. You know, a guy that I thought had a really good second half, who I think needed it as well. I thought Jelani Woods made a couple of and
that was kind of his first introduction to everybody, right?
He's at a quiet Grand Park. He's at a very quiet Grand Park. He's had some drops thrown in there. And through the first 10 practices at Grand Park, we've seen more consistent production from Drew Ogletree, the 6th-round tight end, number 85, versus Jelani Woods, and number 80, the 3rd-round tight end. And I think we saw the flip of it in the game. I thought Woods made a couple of nice catches. Ogletree did have a touchdown called back on a screen, but he had a drop early on in that game. And I felt like the rookies were pretty good. I know Pierce didn't win that initial rep. Again, I thought it was kind of illegal hands against them, but he came back with the second teamers and made a couple of plays. I thought Nick Cross, to Joe Reitz's point earlier, looked very good. He got the start, so we could be seeing Nick Cross in that starting lineup week 1. And then Bernhard Raimann, the left tackle out of Central Michigan, he played the most snaps of any Colt on Saturday. And I love to see that, Jake. The starters come out and you just, all right, Bernhard Raimann, here you go. You're playing every snap at left tackle the rest of the game. He allowed a couple pressures, but I do think you've got something to work with in Bernhard Raimann moving forward. And you got to remember, Raimann has barely played. I mean, we had him on earlier. He's young. He's played left tackle for 2 years his entire life.
Jelani Woods, by the way, 6'7". Most people would look at him and go, okay, this continues the trend. Marcus Pollard, Joe Reitz, Mo Alley Cox, basketball players converted to lineman / tight end or tight end / lineman. You do know that he was a top 20 recruit coming out of high school for what?
For a quarterback?
Correct. Now, because he was a quarterback that then transitioned in college, can you imagine a 6'7" quarterback?
Right.
Dual threat quarterback? You still got to learn to catch the ball. You still got to learn to read blocks. It's, read things for blocking, I should say. Do you think being a former quarterback is an asset at all to a tight end? To understand both sides of it?
Definitely. I mean, you could probably make that argument for any position, but yeah, I would think tight end. You kind of understand route concepts a little bit more of what a defense is doing, and it's a unique transition. You don't see that too often. I just going to tight end.
It's funny to me. I've always marveled at this in baseball, and I get it. I mean, there's no comparison between the levels in terms of pitching and etc. But when you were a kid, Kevin, and you played Little League baseball, the best player that you played, the best baseball player you knew growing up was who?
Was Eddie Hamilton.
Eddie Hamilton. I'm going to bet that Eddie Hamilton, probably the best hitter, right?
God, he could gun it.
Now, did he pitch?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
That's about through 75 when we were in
So 90% of Little League kids, the best player is the pitcher, and he's the best hitter. The best hitter on a team is also the pitcher, 90% of the time. And it's like, well, I guess it becomes so isolated as a pitcher because they're pitching batting practice at some point that they never themselves take. So, in other words, Eddie Hamilton, if he'd played college baseball, would have become a 180 hitter. And it's like, wait a minute, how'd that happen? When he was 12, he was raking it, right? In football, I would bet that like 65% of skilled position players in the National Football League were a quarterback until they were probably a sophomore in high school or even college, right? I mean, what position did Nyheim Hines play in high school?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
I mean, wouldn't you guess it? He probably was, because he's the best athlete. The best athlete is the pitcher in baseball, and the best athlete at the high school level is a quarterback. And like the number of guys that are playing professionally at a position that they never grew up, literally 20% of their career they played that position, and it's the 20% that is paying them.
I thought the Colts draft class this year, they had kind of an interesting background. Alec Pierce was honestly more of a defensive player and then went over to play wide receiver. Bernhard Raimann, Austria, soccer background, initially was a tight end at Central Michigan, kind of like Danny Pinter, and then moved over to left tackle. Now that's where he's at in the NFL. And then we brought up Jelani Woods earlier. Drew Ogletree, I think he was a wideout initially. I think that's the more common thing. Honestly, and I know we're up against it. You know who's on the Lions roster? A former Colt that has made a position switch?
A former Colt making a position switch on the Lions roster. You tell me on the other side. Let me think about it.
Do that next. Kevin and Query, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Indianapolis. At Geico, our employees' careers matter to us.
Well, my finances matter to me.
Great news, Carol. Geico offers a competitive salary that grows with your career because that matters to us, too. Your hopes and dreams matter. Even little things like the perfect office chair height matter.
Oh, that 100% matters. Oh, yeah. Nailed it.
When it comes to your career, what matters to you matters to Geico. We're now hiring claims and customer service agents. Apply today at careers.geico.com/Indianapolis and let's get growing.
The NFL Week 1 odds are out, and now's the time to try FanDuel Sportsbook if you haven't already. Get in on the action early this season. Hey, it's Mark from Kevin and Query. Right now, new customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you have to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app if you haven't already. Join with promo code MARK and turn a $5 bet into $150 in free bets, win or lose. There's no better place to get ready for the football season than on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook and official sports betting partner of the NFL. So head over some future bets for you. The Colts over 9.5 wins is currently sitting at -160. To win the AFC South, -125. If you don't have as much confidence in them, to come in second place in the AFC South is +320. So you can make some money there. Check it all out. There's Super Bowl odds, MVP odds, over-unders for all these seasons, totals and everything like that. Check it all out on FanDuel Sportsbook. Also, while you're there, check out their everyday odds boost and specials. The app is safe, secure, and easy to use, and when you win, you get paid quick. So again, join with promo code MARK, M-A-R-C, and turn a $5 bet into $150 in free bets, guaranteed win or lose. Must be 21 and over in Indiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now drawable free bets. They expire 14 days after receipt. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
At Diamonds Direct, you know what we do. But let's be honest, there are a lot of places you can buy diamonds and fine jewelry. But it's not just our products and prices that set us apart. It's our passion. At the very core of Diamonds Direct is an overwhelming desire to make this moment in your life truly magical. It's that father with the tears in his eyes picking out diamond earrings for his daughter's Sweet 16. It's that pure delight when the young couple finds the perfect ring to start their journey. And it's the feeling of pride the older gentleman feels when he chooses that anniversary band that celebrates a lifetime of love. At Diamonds Direct, it's not about a transaction, it's about a relationship. It's not about making a sale, it's about creating a memory. It's not about the ring, it's about his pride and her joy. This is our purpose, our cause, our mission, our very essence, to help you create your special moment, to be a part of the happiest time in your life. We are humbled and blessed, honored, and privileged to have the opportunity. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
The preseason continues as the Colts host the Detroit Lions. Coverage Saturday morning at 10 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Baby, you're a perfect 10. I want to get in. Can I get down so I can? I like the way you work it.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So I have formulated a guess as to the player that is going to be at Grand Park and when maybe he'll stop at Quack Daddy Donuts in Westfield and say, you know what, I'm bringing some donuts for the Colts because they're my former teammates. And then after that, while they're sitting around eating one of the donuts, the Colts will say, how are things in Detroit?
Like, don't eat the donuts, eat your kneecap.
That's right. How are things in Detroit? And this player's going to say, well, I'm learning a new position. I think I know the answer, but I'm not sure what position he was with the Colts because he hardly played. Is that fair?
That would be accurate.
Would this be new tight end, former wide receiver, and primarily injured Devin Funchess?
Indeed. Devin Funchess, did he even make it through the first game here in Indy?
Boy,
I think he got hurt in that opener.
Right away, right?
Against the Chargers. Had a couple nice catches in that game. And then I believe he went to Green Bay. I think he might have opted out during the COVID year. But yeah, he is trying to become a tight end with the Detroit Lions. Speaking of tight ends, Dave has been hanging on with us. Dave, good Monday morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen. After watching the Colts preseason game, they better go to a 2 tight end set and forget about the wide receivers or find a 55-gallon drum and stick them.
Man, Lester Hayes, Dave, you and I the only two that are old enough to remember Lester Hayes covered in stickum?
That could be, man. It could be.
So, Dave, you and I are on the same page here. We're worried about the wideouts.
It's bad. Here's the thing. I know everybody's talked about it. Kevin, I've heard you express the same thing that a lot of people are talking about. They didn't improve on last year, and let's face it, what carried over from last year's receivers core wasn't that good.
Right. Yeah, I mean, T.Y. Hilton no longer, Zach Pascal no longer, and those guys were contributing for you last year. Dave, thanks for the call. Jake, I've made this analogy before with Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell. It's like you're playing blackjack and you're trying to hit on 16 or 17.
Right.
And you need to hit on both of them. And you're doing that with each guy. I thought the Kiki Kuti injury was something to keep an eye on Saturday. The Colts were really healthy on Saturday. No starter got hurt. But Kuti injures his groin. And we probably don't know this in Indy as much. But Kiki Kuti would be on your 53-man roster right now as a wideout, probably as insurance policy for Paris Campbell. Kuti is the Paris Campbell of the Houston Texans. Oft injured, produces to a degree when he plays, and he's had a little bit more of the soft tissue injury background, which I think is concerning when you factor that in. And again, I'm all about like what trends do we see? I think that's what you look at with these preseason games. They're not gospel by any means, but do you see trends continue? And what we knew about the Colts wideout group back in April or May was really unproven. So that was skepticism in the first place. 10 practices in at training camp, Jake, when the full pads have been worn, the wide receivers have struggled. There's been drops. The passing game has not been as consistent. So there's another trend. Then you watch Saturday. It was just a quarter, but Colts starters versus Bills backups. Bills backups win in the passing game. That's another trend. I get you're not scheming things up right now. I get that Jonathan Taylor's not out there, but you're starting to see continued trends, and that is what is concerning to me.
Now, you know that this morning, the Colts got back probably, what are we going to guess, midnight Saturday, somewhere around there?
Yeah, I'd hope a little earlier. What's the flight? A little over an hour?
Yeah, it's about an hour. Yeah, hour and a half. So Chris Ballard gets up yesterday, mows the lawn.
You think Chris Ballard's mowing the lawn?
Sure, yeah.
I do love mowing the lawn.
Does things around the house. Probably actually is telling his wife, he's like, no, we've got to hold on to that extra box down there in the basement. We'll need it for Christmas.
Chris, put it down.
Yeah, have you seen the duct tape on that thing?
And then he got up this morning, probably slept in a little bit because, they traveled. And he said he's driving in and he says to himself, you know what, I want to turn on and see what the guys on the fan are saying about our performance in Buffalo. And then instantly he thinks this to himself.
It definitely made me think. And Bowen, every time I freaking read or listen to Bowen, it's like a constant freaking barrage of wideouts.
That laughter to me is just really odd, isn't it? It's
That's
uncomfortable laughter. That is a loaded question. Literally, I said, do you think it's sunny outside? That's a loaded question. Well, it's actually not. Just look outside.
Maybe he'll come back on with us when we're up there this week.
Do we know if we're up there?
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say that out loud. We're hoping to be up there for joint practices Wednesday and Thursday, the Detroit Lions in town. Let's do our Camp Champ when we come back. Camp Champ of the day brought to you by Quack Daddy Donuts. I think this guy has locked up his job and probably until roster cuts happen and then maybe an uneasy 24-hour period. We'll talk more about that. Give out our Camp Champ of the day brought to you by Quack Daddy Donuts. We'll do that next.
You even look. The good thing about that loaded one, you built it up. It was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome how you loaded it up.
Before they break the streak of 8 consecutive opening day losses, the Colts need to practice.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice?
Yeah, practice.
Recap practice.
Follow the Colts' progress through camp with daily in-depth updates from Kevin Bowen.
It's been pretty uneventful.
At 1075thefan.com.
Making sure we have enough depth.
Your home for complete Colts coverage.
Who are we as a team?
Is 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Fine jewelry from Shane Company makes a great gift because it has so much sentimental value. It can hold a memory, carry a story, or signify a special event in your life. We design our jewelry in-house to ensure every piece is crafted to the highest standards. And we back that up with our free lifetime warranty. Whether you get a diamond necklace, a tennis bracelet, or a stunning 3-stone anniversary ring, Shane Company's classic styles have a beauty and elegance that will be appreciated forever. We also have trending new styles, like our 14-karat gold zodiac charms, fun paperclip chains, luminous opal earrings and pendants, as well as a truly special limited edition collection featuring cherry pink tourmaline sourced by Tom Shane. Make your gift even more special by personalizing it with a birthstone or an engraving. Capture your sentiment with a gift from Shane Company.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Motley Crue, Def Leppard, the Stadium Tour, a once-in-a-lifetime event with Poison, Joan Jett of the Blackhearts. Tomorrow night, Lucas Oil Stadium. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Motley Crue, Def Leppard, the Stadium Tour. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB, WIBC HD3 W228CX, Indianapolis.
Join me today. We had a Colts game. It's a football Monday with Dockage. Salisbury joins. I can't wait. Noon to 3. It's a football Monday with Dockage and Salisbury.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Still overcast. Looks like something's trying to peek. Is that blue skies behind Riley Towers?
Yeah, let me see here. No, sir.
Are you guys sure, or am I trying to be optimistic here?
I don't see much blue
this
there.
Morning, coming down Meridian into Monument Circle, but I think it's supposed to be a decent day.
Did you guys get the thing? Maybe I'm not supposed to talk about this on the air, but I think everybody, since with our insurance deal, you have that one deal where you can buy into like a credit card that then is used for medical stuff. And now that we're switching insurance deals, that deal is going to go away. So you got to spend everything right now. So I thought, okay, well I've got a little bit in the hopper here. I'll go online and do that.
Buy a third kidney or something.
So I went on there and I thought, I'll just load up on stuff that medical, medicines and whatever else. Band-Aids, $48.
What type of Band-Aid?
Full body wraps? What's going on there?
Jordan brand Band-Aids?
Ty
Gibbs
I thought, I'll just buy like some Mucinex. That's fine. You never know when you might need Mucinex, right? $110. I think they might be marking things up.
I think you've been swindled.
So one of the things that you can buy are prescription sunglasses.
Well, of course.
So you ask me in 2 weeks, Kevin, since I got to blow through this money. It's basically
shopping cart is full.
This stuff's basically free, right? Because I've already paid the money into it, and it's just going to go away. It's just going to expire. It just vanishes. So I've got to go buy stuff. So if you can wait like 2 weeks before you need assessment on what things look like at the Riley Tower, I'll be sitting in here with a pair of sunglasses on, looking outside. 2020.
So if Mucinex cost you $110, those sunglasses had to be like as much as a Switzerland watch or something like that.
Everything that I have saved, the Switzerland watches, and I do have my eye on one of those.
I really need some prescription sunglasses.
Well, I got news for you. You got like a week left to do it.
We've never sounded older than right now talking about prescription sunglasses.
It's time for a Camp Champ of the Day. It's brought to you by Quack Daddy Donuts in Westfield, where the best maple bacon donuts reside. That's 3 miles south of Colts Camp, quackdaddydonuts.com.
By the way, no controversy at all over this foul call. Quack Daddy Donuts, unquestionably the best. See, I'm now getting people that are submitting to me because they know my marketing brilliance with Quack Daddy.
6 practices left at Grand Park, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Next week. Jake, you got a Camp Champ for Saturday night, or do you want me to hand it out?
I don't know that. Listen, I love the play, as I told you, that Dallas Flowers made, but whether or not that means
that was a hell of a play.
It was. You know who it reminded me of?
He's had a couple moments in camp.
Those moments like that remind me of the young when he was first introducing himself to everybody, Kenny Moore.
Really?
Just in terms of the athleticism, where you're like, whoa, this guy might actually be a player.
Now, Dallas Flowers, I believe, where he ended up college-wise, I think is somewhat close to where you started college.
Dallas? He was a gorilla, right?
I don't know. Is that their nickname?
Yes. Pittsburgh State without the H.
Pittsburgh State.
That's a big-time power, though, in division. Are they Division II?
And it's on the border, right, of like them and Missouri, or Kansas and Missouri.
That's right. It's in southern Kansas, I think. But it actually is... Pittsburgh State football, when I was at Kansas in the early 90s, it was a pretty big deal. It was a pretty big-time program.
So you're going with Dallas Flowers?
I realized that the true winner here, because probably now he's able to kick back a little bit and enjoy a donut, is Hot Rod, right?
Yeah, I want to give it to Sam Ehlinger. Part of it is I enjoy just watching Sam Ehlinger just kind of run around and create plays. There's like a Friday Night Light feel to watching Sam Ehlinger. And I know I'm being super stereotypical with like Texas, but I feel like I watch him, I'm like, that looks like my high school quarterback. That looks like all the high school quarterbacks I feel like you watch, where they're just kind of running around, the O-line's breaking down, okay, he's got to create a play. And he did that. I will go with Rodrigo Blankenship, and less to do with what he did. He made a 24-yard field goal, and I think he hit an extra point as well. But Jake Verity missing an extra point in the third quarter, to me, that secures Rodrigo Blankenship's job potentially into the regular season. We'll see what happens at cutdown. But Jake Verity needed... There's questions about how reliable he is inside of 40 yards. Well, you miss an extra point in the only kick you get all game. The Colts went for a 2-point conversion later in the game. That's not good at all. And he needed 4 or 5 days where he was the superior kicker than Hot Rod. We've now had back-to-back days, one in a game, one at Grand Park, where Hot Rod has made more than Verity. That is not good. I think that's potentially a fatal mistake for him.
Do you think the Colts, let me ask you this, if Verity is not the guy that they go with, do they bring back somebody else to continue to push Blankenship?
I would scour that waiver wire. And Jake, trying to keep my marriage intact, so I'm not really paying attention to the 31 other kicking situations around the NFL.
Now hang on. I'd like to dive into this if I may. I'd like to keep my marriage intact. An inference there that studying too heavily the NFL preseason teams, wires, camps,
kicker specifically,
would be a compromise to the vow that you gave of a dedicated attention to not only your spouse but your child and soon to be second child. Right?
Maddie knows this is your sickness, right? And sickness and in health, football's your sickness.
Just out of
finding
curiosity,
that work-life balance, I think needs
so
to be achieved.
you took your daughter for ice cream Saturday, correct?
Yep, little graders action.
And then what did you do late Saturday evening?
Well, Maddie was out to dinner with her mom and sister, so it's just me on the couch. So I went back and watched the first quarter. Into the second.
So you watched, hold on.
It is my job.
So you watched 6 quarters of preseason football.
Can you imagine hearing Greg Rakestraw and Rick Venturi and Larry Overton, the beautiful tones of all 3 of their voices?
But you watched the 2 of those quarters over again.
I fast forward through extra points.
Well,
luckily for you, there weren't many in the.
So you're
first quarter.
sacrificing the kicker aspect of it, right?
Elsewhere, other kicking battles. I saw Buffalo kept the same kicker the whole game. Tyler Bass kicked the game winner. He's their normal kicker. What I'm getting at is if you are going to find another kicker, like let's say the Baltimore Ravens have an undrafted kicker that is on their roster, and he goes 3 for 3 in the preseason, and Justin Tucker's obviously Justin Tucker, you could claim that kicker. That could be the route that you go to add another kicker. I know I've said this a couple times already today. I don't understand why the Colts decided to go for it on a 4th and 8 from the 38-yard line and a 4th and 1 from the 38-yard line twice in the second quarter. That is golden opportunity to test out Rodrigo Blankenship's leg in a game setting. Isn't that what the preseason's all about?
I would agree. I mean, there are probably times where I'd be like, all right, listen, once we get it down to like the 38, let's run 3 right up the middle specifically to set up for a 56-yarder just for the practice of it. You know what I mean? The simulation of it. I truly believe, Kevin, that the preseason is to give yourself the opportunity and the look of every, like you watch preseason games and somebody goes for 2 and you're like, why are they going for 2 here? Well, you need to replicate every scenario that may present itself over the course of a regular season, right?
Again, each team has their own things they need to work on. Like if you're the Ravens, I don't need to see Justin Tucker kicking from 56 yards. You go for it in that situation. Right. But if you're the Colts, that is a question you have entering this season.
239-1070 is the telephone number. Aaron joins us. Aaron, what's up? Good morning to you. Aaron.
Hello. Asleep on a Monday?
I guess so.
Yeah,
Aaron was waiting patiently on hold for his moment.
We've all been there, sleeping in on the Monday morning.
You know what? You know who that was right there?
Maybe that's welcome week.
It's Jake Veritas right there. Waited all that time for his moment. Wide right.
I didn't hear any dry heaves.
Jake, Wednesday, October 12th.
Okay. 2 weeks before I leave for a trip. Yep. Wednesday, October 12th.
It looks like that is when we'll get our first look at the renovated Bankers Life Fieldhouse with the Pacers in action.
Now, are the renovations... I mean, obviously last year it was a renovated Bankers Life Fieldhouse. So what more was renovated?
Weren't there like multiple phases to the process?
I think that's right.
The couple games I went to last year, I feel like when we kind of walked around the concourse, there were some parts where it's like, cannot fully walk around the concourse or, pardon our dust, but we are, still doing a couple things.
Wednesday, October 12th, do they have an opponent for this?
Yeah, so I think the Pacers have not officially announced their own preseason schedule, but people have pieced together other teams announcing their preseason schedule and put together the Pacers.
Oh, so can I guess the opponent?
Sure.
All right. If I was to be transferred to this city, would I? If the three of us, if they said, you know what, guys, you're going to actually become the new morning show host in this market, would we be happy with it?
We would.
Would it be a market upgrade?
Now, to be fair, I'd be happiest in this market because we love Indy. Define upgrade.
Market ranking, radio market ranking.
Yes.
Would we need a winter coat in January?
Yes.
And lastly, would we, if we had to come home for Christmas, would we fly or drive?
Probably fly.
Fly, yeah.
I will go with the New York Knickerbockers.
Boom, boom, boom.
Let's go!
2 games against the Knicks in the preseason. October 12th.
New York at Christmas would be magical.
October 7th at New York. October 5th at Houston. So, at the Hornets. So basically, this is how it looks. At the Hornets on the 5th, at the Knicks on the 7th, home to the Knicks on the 12th, home to the Rockets on the 14th. So 4 preseason games, and the home ones the 12th and the 14th of October.
What do you think is the hierarchy of New York sports talk coverage? Like if you were listening to a New York radio sport, like The Fan that Jeff Smulyan started.
Say probably an hour on Zach Wilson's injury this morning to lead things off.
Do they talk about the Jets? Or are they talking more about whether or not Daniel Jones is the answer for the Giants? Or are they talking about Yankees, Red Sox?
I would say probably today, I'd say Jets, Yankees, Red Sox, and then Giants. Yankees are in a tailspin, right?
I mean, it's the Yankees, right? I mean, tailspin.
I think after the All-Star break, it's like the Tigers are the only team that has a worse record in the AL than them. But yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson, the fact that, the whole mom thing and now the injury.
No, I mean, I get it.
Joe Flacco could be starting week 1 for
But I think the Jets are definitely second tier. What they say, I mean, in terms of Manhattan, you've got...
Is it Giants with Mets and Jets with Yankees?
No, it's Yankees, Giants, Rangers. And then if you're the Burrows or like more of like the middle class crowd, it's Jets, Mets, Islanders, and used to be Nets. Knicks go with the Yankees. Knicks, Yankees, Rangers, Giants. And then the Burrow teams and the Jets.
Boy, I love this idea from Pat. Pat goes, the Colts should take 3 or 4 5-yard penalties after a touchdown and kick their extra point from 48 to 53 yards in the preseason.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, can preseason games no longer end in ties? I was starting to get nervous about that the other night.
They can't end in ties, from what I understood.
They can?
Cannot.
So
come on.
Overtime?
No overtime, no.
So what do they do
they
then?
can
if it's 21-21?
Oh, I thought you said they can't. Yes, no, they can. They cannot. They can end in ties. Yes, there is no overtime.
Okay.
I mean, do you want to sit there for extra? Like, what was the point of that? Why do you want to have?
By the way, a reminder,
buddy, that's how it used to be.
Colts home preseason opener is when? This weekend, right? Detroit?
Correct. Saturday, Yep, 1:00.
Then they play again against, isn't it?
Tampa Bay, 7:30 the following Saturday. So I think this is our game to do. Go ahead and explain the ticket.
Several people have sent to me for both games now, their tickets. Again, I go back to, if you are a season ticket holder and you have tickets to the preseason games that you are not using, and I get the fact, I mean, you're going to go to 8 home games in the regular season. And the preseason, a lot of people are like, I'm not going to go all the way down there and park and whatever else. There are a number of, in particular, kids in this town that would love to see an NFL game. I remember as a kid going down to, whether it be a Pacer game or a Colts game, whatever it be, I didn't care that it was regular season, preseason, whatever else. I got to see the stadium. I got to see the helmets. I got to see an NFL game. That's all I was concerned with. And I talked to IPS School 103, which is Phelan Academy, which is over in a critically endangered area of Indianapolis at 42nd and Mithofer. And I've talked with their principal, and they have set up a program where kids that are deserving at that school, that will be, kids that obviously they're just starting school, but he knows all the families from last year and whatever else. So I have had the tickets forwarded to him, and they're distributing. Right now, we're up to, I think at this point, we're up to something like 15 different groups because of, some tickets are 2 or 4. But at any rate, if you are not using your preseason tickets and you would like to see them go to the use of children in areas of Indianapolis that would not normally get the opportunity to go to a game, that will be escorted to the game either by a parent or by a school, a trusted school official, liaison mentor, etc., you can send the tickets to me, which is jakequery@me.com. Remember, my 2 favorite people, Jake Query and me. jakequery@me.com, and I will then forward the tickets to where they can be distributed from there. All I need is the email, the electric link to the ticket, and we can then forward them as well as with the parking pass. Well, they have parking passes and all of that.
Just an awesome idea. And again, this is the 1 o'clock game this Saturday. Next Saturday is 7:30. So, depending on the kids' ages, obviously the 1 o'clock game would probably be a little bit better to get to here with the Detroit Lions coming up on Saturday.
Did you say Aaron's back, Mark?
Aaron's back.
Okay. Did we wake Aaron? Aaron, are you awake this time, Aaron?
Why you keep calling me Aaron? My name is Robert.
Okay, Robert. I don't know. I just go by what's written on the screen. It says Aaron.
It's amazing to me, you, Mr. Big Mouth. It's amazing to me that you have never said anything about Bobby Knight or the coach from Notre Dame. All this knowledge that you have, it's amazing. But you worked on the blackbacks that won the championships. You never say anything about it. You have never said anything.
All right, man. I appreciate it because I don't know what relevance Bobby Knight has towards what we've been talking about this morning, Robert. But I appreciate that you said I have knowledge. I do.
I'm curious about the Notre Dame coach.
Digger Phelps?
Well, I'm ready for Marcus Freeman and the boys to come out of the tunnel on September 4th.
Newt Rockney? I don't know which Notre Dame coach he was talking
Mike
about.
Bray? I mean, hey, we want to go Notre Dame basketball.
I thought I was having a rough Monday morning.
I can't wait for that one. Notre Dame, Ohio State. Should I be worried, Jake? You've told me 21 points, right?
Man, Ohio State is so good. I mean, I think Notre Dame's
O-line needs to play like how we're used to Notre Dame's O-line over the last 5 or 6 years. Bunch of first-round picks, high picks. That's the only chance. The only chance we saw with Oregon and Michigan last year.
I think Brian Kelly is a very, very, very good football coach in terms of his teams always seem to just not make mistakes and then just hang around until other teams make mistakes and then prey on that.
Mm-hmm.
But Marcus Freeman seems to me to have an it factor that players just really want to play for. And I think Notre Dame under him has the potential here to indeed kind of elevate to another level. It's probably not going to be this year, but their recruiting has certainly escalated. But Ohio State is just loaded. I mean, Ohio State offensively is their receivers alone.
Yeah,
Kevin,
it's a first-round quarterback with probably 3 first-round picks of receiver.
I'll put it to you this way. There is nobody within the Ohio State football program that is calling a local sports talk show saying that all they hear is the host talking about wideouts. Unless it's in a good way. You know what I mean?
Well, one note on the Freeman thing, because I feel like I haven't said this really since he got hired. Brian Kelly, an outstanding football coach, got Notre Dame back to a level that was desperately needed. You will never hear me criticize Brian Kelly's football coaching ability. But I think there was a ceiling there in the hierarchy of college football that Brian Kelly and just in general that staff, and I've heard from people directly on that staff of like Brian Kelly just wasn't a top flight recruiter. It just he didn't love it. He doesn't love it. And I think your only shot at potentially getting to the top, and we know what the top is. It's Alabama, it's Clemson, Ohio State, all of that. The only chance is to recruit at a higher level. You might suffer a little bit from a coaching standpoint, and we'll find that out with Marcus Freeman and what happens with that program. But they have recruited at a higher level here in the last few months. Obviously, we'll see if the coaching angle develops, but if it matches, if Brian Kelly's coaching can match how they've recruited, then all of a sudden I do think Notre Dame can get to another level, but that's a tall order.
If you see some of the videos that Brian Kelly did to sell his soul once he got to LSU, you'll realize he has a new vigor with recruiting, right?
I thought he was grinding on one of his recruits at one point.
And shockingly, that kid went elsewhere. He went to Alabama, right?
Yeah, that was a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Steve goes, possible the Colts didn't want to make it seem like a kicking competition by trotting the two of them out there for long field goals. Well, Steve, Frank Reich said it yesterday, or not yesterday, what would have been Thursday, I guess, that Rodrigo was going to kick in the first half and Verity in the second half. That's how they were handling the kicking competition. So they've called it that. All right, Pop Quiz coming up here in about 5 minutes, 317-239-1070. For that one, let's hit a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown. Omaha! Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Relieving your joint pain at QCkinetics.com. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Major League Baseball yesterday. Reds over the Cubs 8-5. It was the Cardinals 6-3 over the Brewers. Albert Pujols, 2 home runs. He now has... I think it's 687. Either way, he is 6 shy of Alex Rodriguez for 4th all-time. If you're Albert Pujols, Kevin, and this is your last year playing, or I think there's speculation that it is, and you're right there like 10 away at the end of the year from 700, do you come back one more year just to get 700?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, you got to get 700, right? Memphis Redbirds over the Indianapolis Indians yesterday, 11-2.
All right, moving on. The Colts, they got an off day today at Grand Park. Back on the practice field tomorrow. I think it's noon to 1:20, I believe, is tomorrow's practice time. Wednesday and Thursday are the joint sessions with the Detroit Lions, and then Saturday, that preseason game kicks off at 1. Here was Matt Ryan on his Colts debut and the preseason opener on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's good. You know, I think number one, you have a new play caller in your ear, new guys around you. You know, there's just not as much continuity than I've had in other years. So I think getting out there, getting the live experience was huge. And I thought for the most part, you know, obviously we'd like to have done some things better, but from an operation standpoint, I thought we were pretty clean. And that's what you want to see from the first preseason game.
Jake, 6 of 10 for Matt Ryan. I thought he was on target. I felt like the offensive line and the wideouts did not help him out.
Correct. Tight end unit, not bad. Wide receiver unit, long way to go.
I would agree. And I thought the rookie class played pretty well.
NASCAR yesterday, Kevin Harvick the winner in Richmond. It was Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott rounding out the top 5.
And IndyCar back this week, right?
IndyCar in Gateway. That is a Saturday race. Race begins, I believe, at 6 o'clock Indy time on Saturday. So Saturday and not Sunday, under the lights at Gateway.
Season ender for the Indiana Fever. They lose 95-83 to the Mystics. How does that work? Do they get the number 1 pick?
I think they do.
feel like they've been like cursed in the lottery.
I mean,
and the UConn girl just tore ACL.
Correct.
And she was, I assume, was going to be the number one pick. I don't.
Oh, that's like a generational number one pick.
They've
right?
been talking about her for years.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fever season 5-31, 18-game losing streak to end.
What was that, Mark?
There.
I said woof.
Yeah, I think
for that record.
Woof. Accurate way to describe that. All right, it's pop quiz time. 317-239-1070. Jake, have you looked at it?
I have. Very manageable.
How many days a week do you think you utter the phrase "very manageable" in describing the pop quiz?
I'm just telling you. Very manageable.
Here comes like 10 hints.
Number 3 has a paragraph to explain the answer.
Well,
that's never a good sign.
We should probably have a meeting on maybe reducing the wording of some of the questions, right?
You want to talk to Scotty about that? He's not in studio yet.
I get a little bit lost sometimes with, oftentimes the first 75% of the question can be eliminated, and then the question, and this is me talking, right? I mean, there's nobody that has the ability to say less with more than I, but I'm just saying.
See, that's another loaded question.
That's exactly right.
Pop quiz time coming up next.
We want to have a party at your house with your friends this summer. Go to 1075thefan.com/contest to enter to win a Connecticut Backyard Bourbon broadcast in your backyard with JMV.
You need a lawn care pro and a pest control pro. You can have both in one guy. You. DoMyOwn.com will help you get there with pro products, pro knowledge, and pro support. DoMyOwn.com for the pro in you.
Sip and save at Circle K with our great new drink subscription. Join Sip and Save today and enjoy one drink a day every day for just $5.99 a month. Enjoy your favorite Circle K ice cold fountain drink, Froster, or freshly ground coffee every day. That's 30 drinks a month for only $5.99. So sip and save at Circle K. Sign up in store or at CircleK.com. Circle K. Take it easy.
School is in session.
Dave McGinnis, Titans radio analyst. How are you with the minute-by-minute reaction to every pass or every run? I always thought practice is where we made mistakes and got better.
You're 100% right. Practice is for practice. And practice is sometimes, depending on the stage of development you're in, is putting yourself in a position to challenge yourself and get a feel for. And the only way to do it is live in practice.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Have you studied? Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz with Kevin and Query. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
All right, it's Pop Quiz time. 317-239-1070. Mark and I were talking during the break because Lord knows Jake is somewhere off. Is he doing laps?
He's trying to find boxes around the building. This is a good one. I'm keeping this one.
This needs to... When we move buildings, this box must come with us.
Look at the craftsmanship on these edges.
We've been talking about doing a fantasy football league with the show. So there's 3 of us. So that would leave... We're thinking a 12-team league?
I think 12 teams is good.
So that would leave 9 spots. I'm thinking starting tomorrow, we'll take callers for the pop quiz that want to be in the fantasy football league. And if you get on air, that will be each of the next 4 days for team owners. Next week, we'll do all 5 days. Boom, there's our 9 participants in the fantasy league with us 3.
Sounds good. Do a live draft with the listeners.
Live draft right before the season starts.
Now, are we doing like PPR? Are we doing Yahoo or ESPN? We got to hammer these details out, Kev.
Can we get Robert to participate?
Well,
speaking of details, Jake Query back with us. Were you looking for boxes?
I was.
Any luck?
I had to find Scotty. I'm telling you. Scotty will attest. I guarantee you, there is somewhere in Scotty's place. There's a box, and he's like, I can't throw that away. That's just too good.
Now, are you going to bring up the length of Scotty's questions?
I think Scotty knows that I have at times been like, wow, that seems like a lot, very wordy. That's all.
A lot tamer once Scotty walked in the building.
No comment from Scotty Johnston. A number 1 through 8, Jake, for this Monday pop quiz.
I will go with. I'll go with the number 8. I very rarely go with 8.
Numero 8. Didn't they do the Ocho Day
Yeah,
the
last
other day
week.
on
Yeah.
ESPN?
They had the ice stairs, the slippery stairs. That's the best thing on ESPN.
I was watching, live tag going on. That was fun.
Gosh, I love what a
Tag Burge.
Just a good game of tag.
Yeah.
Just a good, authentic American pastime. Who we got?
Kenny is number 8. Kenny.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning, Kenny. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you guys.
Kenny, you sound like a nice fella. You've called the program before, right?
Absolutely. Kenny Shoes. That's all I got to say.
I was going to say, Stadias. Did I already make the Stadias joke with you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Kenny? Would that be Kenny Rogers?
I think his name's Kenny Helton. He's a really cool guy. You guys probably ain't heard of him, but he's a good dude. Christian guy, loves the Lord. One of them guys.
Would that be you?
That's me.
Yeah, okay.
Amen, brother.
Well,
All right,
it's like
fair enough.
Jake. Jake loves me, and Kenny loves me.
That's right.
Loves him.
Kenny Elton, you said is your last name? Like as in Elton John?
It's Helton with an H.
Oh, Helton, like Mike Helton, like the NASCAR guy.
Yeah.
Todd.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Any relation to Todd or Kenny or
No,
the NASCAR guy?
Nope. I wish I was. I'd be hanging with him daily.
Well, we're going to start off with a NASCAR question. Jake,
I love me some meat. Here we go, Kenny. Question number 1 is indeed a NASCAR question. Yesterday, this NASCAR Cup Series driver became the first to win back-to-back races this season. Was it Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, or Kevin Harvick?
Kevin Harvick.
That Kenny, number 2, the Colts lost to the Bills in Saturday's preseason opener. Who led them in receiving yards? Who led the Colts in receiving yards? Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Kylan Granson, Jelani Woods.
Tyler Granson.
How about one more guess at that? This guy is atop the depth chart.
He has the same initials as the military police on a army base.
Could you give me the guys again? I'm sorry,
That'd
fellas.
be Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, or Jelani Woods.
I'm going to say Michael Pittman.
Okay.
All right.
Question 3. Nick Foles has a chance to become just the 4th Colt to play in a game as a Colt after being named an NFL MVP. Can you name, Super Bowl MVP. Sorry, Super Bowl most valuable player. Can you name 2 of the other 3 players who were a Super Bowl MVP and then later played a game for the Colts?
Peyton Manning.
Okay.
This is a tough one, Scotty.
One of them served as Peyton Manning's backup early in Peyton Manning's career here after having won a Super Bowl with a franchise that has since changed its nickname.
Oh, Rasmussen. Is that right? Or the old Redskins quarterback. What's that dude's name?
I always think of Fruit when I see his last name.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kenny?
I can't think, guys.
Well,
We'll hang on that one. We'll hang on that one. All right.
All right, number 4, Tampa Bay Rays pitcher Drew Rasmussen was 3 outs away from throwing a perfect game until Jake Query tweeted about him. As the Rays beat the Orioles yesterday, it would have been the first perfect game in 10 years and just the second no-hitter in Rays history. Who threw the only no-hitter for the Rays? Matt Garza, Blake Snell, Scott Kazmir, or David Price?
I'm going to say Mir.
Which
Kazmir?
one?
Yes, sir.
All right, Matt Ryan is scheduled to become the Colts' 6th defensive opening day starting quarterback in 6 seasons. Name the quarterback who started the streak when
6
Andrew...
different.
What'd I say?
Defensive. I was confused for a moment.
Sorry, I was reading. Okay. Matt Ryan is scheduled to become the Colts' 6th different opening day starting quarterback in 6 seasons. Name the quarterback who started the streak when Andrew Luck missed the 2017 season with a shoulder injury.
Oh, that's so...
God, I was at this game. I can see the pick 6
Yeah,
just right
it
in my
was
head.
against the Rams. I just can't think of the guy's name.
I mean, that's... you get some credit for knowing it was against the Rams. He played collegiately, I believe, at Wisconsin, right?
Yep.
ST.
Tolzien, Scott Tolzien.
Look at that.
Nice,
Kenny. Nice. Good way to finish that one there.
Kenny, we're going to go back to question 3. I'm going to get you a chance to revisit this. Peyton Manning is, of course, one of the guys that was a Super Bowl MVP to play for the Colts. The other one, you were right there. It is, in fact, a guy that won it with Washington.
What about a hint
Super
for the
Bowl
other name?
26th. Or
Mark Rippon.
Boom.
Nice.
Where were you going with the hint for the other one?
If a hailstorm happens, you could get several of these in the hood of your car.
Oh, Richard Dent.
Correct.
That's pretty impressive. He got it that quickly. All right, let's see how Kenny did. Yesterday, the NASCAR Cup Series driver became the first to win back-to-back races this season. He said Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick is correct. Michael Pittman with 30 yards was correct for number 2.
That's E1.
3, he is correct. Richard Dent, Mark Rippon, and Peyton Manning. Now, John Elway, Deion Branch, and Chuck Howley of Dallas, when he won the Super Bowl MVP, were all... Chuck Howley of Dallas was named MVP of the Super Bowl despite the Colts winning the game. Deion Branch, by the way, signed with the Colts, never played with them. John Elway was drafted by the Colts.
Doesn't Deion Branch live here?
He does. He did. He's at Lifetime Fitness a lot.
All right, number 4, the only no-hitter in Rays history. He said Scott Kazmir. No, Matt Garza.
Scott Tolzien was correct.
You don't get to come back tomorrow. You don't even get a lousy copy of our home game. You're a complete loser.
I want to kiss you. I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
One gets me every time.
Oh, man, Mr. Namath. Unbelievable.
That was not one of his finer moments.
No, I wouldn't say so.
I thought Susie Goldberg handled that beautifully.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe. I'll take it as a huge compliment.
Greg Rakestraw says Deion Branch coaches at Carmel.
Oh, he does coach? Okay. I knew he lived up here.
So if I remember that correctly, he was signed during that 2014 playoffs. So that would have been the January 2015. I think that was right when Reggie Wayne, he just... he looked hurt.
Somebody else said to me, Deion is in Louisville now. He was Carmel's wide receiver coach last year.
Oh, last year. Well, I don't know.
We seem to have a debate.
You think I'm going to question Rake?
I would agree with you.
I'm not doing that.
All right.
All right is right, Harry. We'll be back one more time. Kevin and Corey.
Are you tired of dealing with the indifference of big corporate suppliers in the construction industry? Quality Supply and Tool understands, which is why for over 25 years, they've taken a customer-first approach. Quality Supply and Tool has locations in Bloomington, Jeffersonville, and at 5722 South Harding Street in Indy, stock full of inventory for those in the concrete and masonry trade, those who need building materials, and contractors who need industrial-grade tools that will work as hard as they do. And that includes weekend warriors. Partner with Quality Supply and Tool on your next project and think outside the box. Store.
Everyone here knows Diamonds Direct is the place to go for the best diamonds at the best prices. But did you know that savvy buyers from all over America, even Los Angeles and New York, now come here to buy their diamonds? These high-end shoppers have discovered that Diamonds Direct has one of America's best selections of large, rare diamonds, from 3 carats to 20 carats, all certified by the GIA, the most reputable and most trusted gem lab in the world. Because of Diamonds Direct's international connections and tremendous buying power, we're one of only a handful of jewelry stores in America that is able to offer a large selection of rare and precious GIA diamonds. In fact, Diamonds Direct's multi-million-dollar selection includes a stunning array of high-end Riviera necklaces, 20-carat tennis bracelets, and an extraordinary collection of rare, precious gemstones, rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and even the really hard-to-find fancy yellow diamonds. Come see why Diamonds Direct right here is the destination for high-end shoppers all over America. Extraordinary selection, quality, and unmatched value. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. DiamondsDirect.com.
Indianapolis. At Geico, our employees' careers matter to us.
Well, finding the right career matters to me.
Look no further, Becca. Geico offers training support because your growth matters. Your hopes and dreams matter. Even the way you sing to your plants because you believe it helps them grow matters.
You said it. Growth matters. Grow, grow, grow your leaves.
When it comes to your career, what matters to you matters to Geico. We're now hiring claims and customer service agents. Apply today at careers.geico.com/Indianapolis and let's get growing.
The Red Sox and Orioles play in Williamsport on Sunday Night Baseball. The coverage begins at 6 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You see the Christmas Day schedule for the NBA?
I'm assuming the Lakers play, the Knicks play, the Bulls play, and then the Warriors, yeah.
You think the best chance of the Pacers ever to be on Christmas Day will be if they do a Pacers gaming maybe on Christmas Day?
They used to be kind of in contention for it when they were one of the... Did they never play on Christmas?
Yes, they played the Knicks. I attended the game.
What year was that?
About 90...
I was going to say.
Scotty attended the game in 97.
Yeah,
Christmas
they definitely...
Day?
Thanksgiving night used to be a big tradition as well.
I feel like the tradition now is the Friday night after Thanksgiving, right? Lighting of the tree,
That's
the Pacers tip at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that is such a big night downtown. I love it. Between the lighting of the tree, the high school football finals, it's a great night to be downtown.
It's really a great sports. NFL's kind of talking about playing a game on that day. That's a big couch day for a lot of people.
Yeah,
couch
for
day
sure.
until they get to the evening. The Christmas slate this year for the NBA. And now this will go up against the NFL, which can't imagine the NBA is too happy about that. Christmas is on a Sunday this year. Bucks Celtics to lead it off. Very nice matchup. 2:30 game. This is when you talk to your family. 76ers and Knicks. I love this game in the middle here. Suns and Nuggets.
That's not bad.
I like that. Lakers, Mavs. And then the nightcap, another one that I like. The Grizz and the Warriors.
Grizz and Warriors would be fun, right?
I mean, think about that playoff series this year. I got a little juicy there.
You know, I used to...
But the NFL is just going to smoke them on that day.
Yeah, because the NFL plays... Well, is the NFL, did you say, playing on Christmas or on Saturday?
Packers, Dolphins, Broncos, Rams, Bucks, Cardinals.
Who do the Dolphins play?
Did I say Packers?
Okay, so you get the Packers crowd. Give me another one.
Broncos, Rams. I mean, that's outstanding. And Bucks, Cardinals. I mean, just look at the 6 quarterbacks in that game.
Yeah.
In those games.
But I'm telling you, man, the NBA, I think there are a lot of people, Kevin, that to many people, the NBA, Christmas is when it tips off for them.
Oh, without question.
And the NBA doesn't have the size of audience of the NFL, but those that are loyal to it and are enthusiastic about it, the Christmas Day games to them are a big deal. So it'll do better numbers than a typical NBA game.
So that week for the NFL, they will play the vast majority of their games on Saturday, which is Christmas Eve. The 3 games I just mentioned will be on Christmas Day. Again, Packers, Dolphins at 1, Broncos, Rams at 4:30, Bucks and Cardinals at 8 o'clock. Think if you're a Cardinals fan, you've hosted Christmas games back-to-back years.
I'm going to make a statement that's an unpopular opinion.
And then the Colts play on Monday Night Football.
And I get the fact that the NFL is the 800-pound gorilla. I get it. And for good reason. If an NFL game kicks at 1 p.m., what time do you need to leave your house? For most places.
Well, where do you live?
What's the game that kicks off at 1?
Packers and Dolphins.
And that's in Miami?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if you live in, I don't know, the greater Miami area, what time do you need to leave your house in order to...
I mean, if you lived in Carmel, Indiana, and you're coming to a 1 o'clock Colts game, if you leave by 11 o'clock, you should be able to walk in by kickoff.
Okay. So 11 a.m. I am prepared when I say this for people to call me the world's biggest jerk. If you are leaving your house at 11 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning to go to an NFL game, you got an issue. I get it. The NFL is wonderful. It's great. It's fabulous. One day a year to be with your family,
What if you're taking family members to the game? What if you're taking your children? That was Santa's gift.
Yeah, okay.
Mark's taking the girls.
I still think...
To Dolphins Packers, you must be crazy.
I still think even kids that love the NFL are far more... Christmas for them is far more about... And I get that they get up at like 5 in the morning. I get it. Waking up, seeing what Santa got them, opening it up, and then
I mean, if you've got young children,
enjoying the gifts.
You're up at 6 a.m. with
I
Santa,
get it.
and you're done at 9.
I get it. I just think it is the one day that you can set aside to be with the family members within your house and your immediate family and then extended family under one roof.
How do you feel about the Thanksgiving games? Same thing?
Yeah, thanks. I actually do a little bit. I get the fact, though, that in Detroit, it's kind of become a generational tradition. Thanksgiving is a little more so. A lot of people get together for Thanksgiving at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and by 7, most people are kind of wrapping up anyway. So if it's an evening game, so the one I think it's by design that Detroit's always game 1, just because that's the game that kind of steps into that family time. But in Detroit, it has happened for so long that that's kind of what the family time is it centers around the Lions.
Griff says he has to go to his in-laws for Christmas. He'd much rather be at an NFL game.
I get it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I got no issue with going to an NFL game on Christmas. Hang out with your family from 6 to 10. You're home by 5:30. Go over to the in-laws at that hour. Sounds like a fun day. I feel like 1 to 4 is usually when I
just think there are plenty
Christmas.
of times to do an NFL game. Christmas happens once a year.
The Colts will play on Monday Night Football that week. That would be December 26th. That is an 8:15 kick. Chargers and Colts for that one. That's big. That could be really big.
Deion Branch, by the way, Director of Player Development at University of Louisville now.
Wow. That's different than coaching Carmel Whiteouts.
It is that.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL will just outrate the NBA big time. Those games. Lakers Warriors is the opening night for the NBA, by the way. Tuesday, October 18th.
I mean, the NBA is going to the NFL is going to outrate anything, no question. But I don't think the NBA is as on Christmas Day. The NBA does do numbers because
I don't remember the NFL ever really competing with it on Christmas Day, though.
I remember that well
because this is a Sunday. We Christmas Day is now finally to a Sunday. Wouldn't we have
did
to
the
go?
Colts play on when the Colts played the Raiders?
That was Christmas Eve.
Was that Christmas Eve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Oakland for Christmas. That was the year the Colts played Thanksgiving night against the Steelers. Luck had a concussion, so Tolzien started that one. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, Tolzien actually looked competent as opposed to that game against the Rams. They played Christmas Eve in Oakland when Trent Cole broke Derek Carr's leg.
Remember that?
Thus ended the Raiders' playoff chances, Super Bowl chances, and then they played on New Year's Day against, I think, the Texans.
Did they play I thought they played a New Year's Day or one of those games. I remember being at my sister's house one of the years. Remember the Buffalo ice storm? The year that the Colts were like, it was the year that, it might have been the year that we don't go for records. We don't go for records. We just
but like Reggie Wayne caught the first 6 passes of the game to
exactly.
get to 100 for the year.
Exactly. I mean, they're out there on a skate. Like we're not worried about records. We're here to try to win the Super Bowl. I think it was when they were the 16-0 year, and they finished in Buffalo, and it was a skating rink that was like the most dangerous conditions ever. And they went out and threw like 9 passes to Reggie Wayne and 14 to Dallas Clark on ice to get them records. I'm like, wait, what? I thought records didn't matter. What are we going with here?
Yeah, that was the popular thing in those Week 17 games. Oh, Dallas Clark needs X amount of yards,
correct.
So we're going to leave him in for a series.
It's a rare, the Christmas week is the rare 4 primetime game slate. Game Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
And now, will you read that Thursday game out loud? I was too afraid to read it out loud.
Boy, I hope you might want to.
This is an NFL matchup?
Yes.
And you're saying
on Amazon Prime, so you better subscribe.
Okay, so this is the least desirable matchup possible, right?
It's pretty close, yeah.
Okay.
Especially if Zach Wilson's hurt for
Give me
longer.
a few guesses. Okay, so then I'll go with Jets-Jags.
Ding, ding.
They should at least do
I think it's good. Good green colors leading
Well,
into Christmas.
they should at least do Cardinals Jags or Cardinals Jets. Wasn't it last year when it was Cardinals Jets? I think, right? And it was like red and green. It was like, yeah, it's a Christmas game on one of those.
Yeah, that's not going to be great.
Cardinals Colts last year on Christmas out there.
Raiders at Steelers, your Saturday night Christmas Eve game on NFL Network.
Yeah.
Sunday night, Bucks at Cardinals, and then, of course, Chargers at Colts on Monday.
Josh wanted to chat about the holiday games?
Yep.
What's up, Josh?
Hey, this is Cole, Josh and Cole. How you guys doing?
Hey, Josh and Cole. Good Monday morning. You guys work together?
Yeah, we're plumbers.
Love it.
Nice.
Just comment about the Christmas Day games. Families can go to Christmas games and spend time with everybody and stuff like that. The NFL, they've been doing it 2-3 years now. Christmas Day games. I think it's good. I think it's a good opportunity for families to get together and to watch some football because there are some, great for community and stuff like that.
Because there aren't any other times of the year when people can get together to go watch a game?
I'm good with it. Jake's being bah humbug.
No, I just think, Josh, here's the thing. I get what you're saying, okay? I think there are probably more people in your family than you think that would be like, you know what, we should be together as a family. It's Christmas Day. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It swings both ways. I mean, spending time with the family.
I think got family time from 6 to 10, 7 to 10, go to the game while everyone's napping, come home, and then you hang out
I'll
with
tell you
the
what,
in-laws.
Kev, here's a fun experiment.
Christmas Eve, too. You could spend time with your in-laws then.
Ask your wife when you get home tonight if next year if the Colts host a regular season game at 1 p.m. on Christmas Day, if she's cool with you and your wife and your 2 kids going to the game.
1,000% she'd be good with it.
Okay.
1,000%.
Mark?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd swing that. We'll see. I don't know. She wouldn't be against it. She likes football.
24 days or 24 Christmas Day games ever in the NFL?
That's probably right.
So, yeah, this is a new thing with them slotting the Christmas Day games with that. I think, Jake, it is a popular present for young kids. I feel like when I see the crowd shots
I think it's definitely
NBA games.
I think it's definitely again, I'm not talking about late afternoon or evening. I'm talking about early in the day that bleeds into Christmas morning.
We don't have that many presents to open up to go into noon and 1 o'clock. You see Hinkle Fieldhouse, what they're going to host coming up here?
The NITs, right?
2024, the NIT to Hinkle. I love it, but I'm also thinking to myself, I always thought it was kind of a cool experience for Madison Square Garden. For those players to have the season.
For sure. To be able to say you're playing in the Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This from Brandon, by the way. Hey, as a guy that works downtown in the hospitality business, we love having holidays off and not having to worry about working.
Totally understand that, Brandon. Acknowledge that. Yeah. My sister-in-law is a nurse, young. She's always working holidays. So, yeah, I totally can acknowledge that aspect to it. Las Vegas for the NIT this coming year.
And then Hinkle the year after, right?
And then maybe we can get more into this tomorrow. Did I see that IUPUI is breaking apart the IU Purdue?
Yeah,
and
that's
IU is controlling the athletic programs now? So does Purdue control the Fort Wayne?
Which is interesting because that means that you're going to have UIndy and IUindy in athletics, right?
Boy, that won't be confusing for
and
people
in
out of state.
5 years, they might both be playing D1.
Now, when Indiana University, and again, Purdue for Fort Wayne, IU now for IUPUI, which is going to change, if you're controlling the athletic program, could all of a sudden you get an ex-player who's an up-and-coming coach to run the basketball team? Or am I thinking a little bit too much?
No, what do you mean?
Okay, let's say Jordan Holes wants to become a college basketball coach.
Right.
Could IU play favorites and say, well, Jordan Holes, go coach at IUPUI, We control the athletic program, and you almost groom him into a bigger job.
Although
and
I think that was
Ryan
kind of...
Smith. Remember Ryan Smith, R-Y-N-E, for Purdue? He is coaching now, I think, like high school.
So he goes to Purdue Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Is this common around? Is this other Division I schools and campuses that I don't know about?
By the way, Shannon points out, I loved going to Pacer games when they were playing back in the day on Christmas Day. But again, those were night games. It wasn't 11 o'clock in the morning. That's my only thing.
Now, was that before the baby place in Noblesville, Inner Baby? I just want to make sure Shannon can fit all that in before.
Go spend her gift cards.
Yeah, I just want to make, Christmas, it can get crazy. Tomorrow we've got, you said Ryan Deem and Rick DeMolling?
That's right.
Well, join us tomorrow. Joe Reitz. It's offensive lineman week. Joe Reitz on the podcast. If you missed that, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
One's faking the handoff. This time.